Good evening, everybody. This is the Formula Sprint 1 fourth round of the 2023 championship. There's been a restructure since we last spoke. The Jeddah street circuit is not fully ready to go just yet, so we've moved forward the Baku city circuit round into today's slot on Thursday, April 13th. My name is Eoin Harmon, and today my broadcast partner, Yousuf bin-Suhayl. We hope to hear from him later. But for now, I'd like to take a moment to introduce the broadcast director and co-commentator for the moment, Tom Stevens. Tom, how are you getting on?
Oh, I'm very good, thank you. Really looking forward to Baku. This is always a very interesting track, very technical. You can get a vast array of setups here. There's just fantastic racing, lots of action. Really looking forward to it. So top in practice was Alex Lahou. Do you think he can have a strong qualifying?
Yeah, I believe he has the pace within him to challenge for a top spot. But as we can see from our championship score, Szymon Frejlich, he would have been firmly into the three figures if he didn't retire from the Australian race 2. But he has an 11-point lead over Thomas Harvey and another 10 points clear over Mike Quint. 11 points clear of Harvey and then 21 points clear of Quint. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw another TOP driver competing for pole. Yeah, there's still plenty of points available, and everyone should be firmly determined to grab a result here today at Baku. So yeah, we now have our qualifying session underway, Tom, and Alex Lahou is among the drivers to see the opportunity and get going. So yeah, if he can replicate that pace from practice, yeah, he is a top contender. Yeah, his objective today is to just get some solid points and really get up the championship.
Oh, that from Alex Lahou was just quite ballsy on the outlap actually. That castle section just shows how difficult it is. He took the inside curve and it almost bounced him out on his outlap. So I have a feeling castle section is really going to be catching some people out today. But Alex Lahou, he's approaching his lap. Let's see what he can do.
Yeah, I suppose the top speed, the drivers will be on full throttle for well over 30 seconds, just constantly pushing as hard as they can in the race. With the slipstream will be far more significant. Yeah, in this private qualifying session, everyone will just be they'll be tuned in with the tunnel vision. All they got to do is get around the lap and worry about their own time. So yeah, let's join Lahou with an onboard.
So yeah, hitting 300 k's into turn 1 there. Turn 1's a 90-degree left-hander, and he gets it in nicely. Now for turn 2, it's another 90-degree corner. Oh, and he slightly hits the wall there. That won't be helping his momentum. Anyway, opening the DRS. This is another high-speed section of the track before we get into the really tight and twisty middle sector. More 90-degree corners here. He's quite smooth under the shadows. Pull over to the left-hand side. Open yourself up for the right-hander. And using all the track available. It's looking quite smooth so far. Yeah, very close to the walls there. Using a ton of curb on the apex. Coming next is the very, very tricky section of Castle. Let's see how he can take it, whether the curb will bounce him out. Let's see. Oh, very close to the wall. He manages to take it really well. Using the camera on the inside of both apexes there. And lighting up the rears on the exit. It's looking good so far. This could be a very decent time. So now approaching the penultimate last proper corner really, over the curb, very close to the wall again. He's flirting with the walls today. Final proper turn. Let's see how he can take it. This is actually a much trickier corner than you can. Oh
no.
Yeah, it's a very tricky corner, that one. Very deceptive. Let's see if he can carry the speed over to the line, but I have a feeling he will definitely be improving on that one later on in the session.
Yeah, indeed, Tom. I suppose the job is to get a banker lap set. Obviously, he's going to abandon this one. He's merging as far left as possible. We'll see times filtering through right now. And yeah, it is Jack Mayer with 149.5. Brilliant sector 3 for him at 28.5 in the third sector. That gives him an advantage of 0.9 0.09, I suppose, over his teammate, and Jan Dragun P3 for Rowan. So yeah, that's not too bad at all.
Indeed. Here comes Luke Mitchell then, moving up from FS2 for an emergency drive. Looking quite good so far.
Yeah, Butler are the only team without a championship point so far this season. So yeah, hopefully we can see Luke giving that team their chance at some confidence, and yeah, we'll see where that puts him. Yeah, he's 11th. Yeah, that's not too bad.
So far it's a TOP 1-2, shaping up to be a decent round for them once again. But there's still 10 minutes of the qualifying session to go. Plenty more to happen. And Mirko Lucchini finishes a lap, or I think he just starts one. I'm not too sure. Thomas Harvey was unable to set a lap time first time round. Same with Alex Lahou and Maciej Hyla. So that's 3 pretty heavy hitters out there, unable to set a lap time early on. So will they be able to threaten the top half of the grid?
Yeah, the drivers know how tricky this track will be in race conditions. So yeah, the motivation to get high up the grid, as we see Thomas Harvey for a brief moment. Now we have a look at Federico Russo. You will want to try and get that Alpha Delta a bit closer to the elite positions, and he has done it. P3. Just a shame that last sector is a little bit off compared to what we have seen from the TOP guys, but yeah, really impressive from Federico.
Here we see Patrick Magnussen. Looks like he's doing an emergency drive for builds in this round. He's quicker than Jack Mayer in Sector 1, so that could hint towards a lower drag setup. Maybe TOP today are running slightly higher downforce, because that can really help in race trim. But let's see what Patrick can do heading into the final sector. Pretty good middle sector, not quite at the top, but it's a very strong one still. Now this shows how draggy his car is, because this final sector of the track is just flat out, foot to the floor. Try and minimise any, just minimise your line, get it down to the line. Let's see what he can do. He opens up the DRS. What's it gonna be? It is a 150.3, so P14. That is a strong show from Patrick. Who's up next? Let's see. Thomas Harvey. He's just finished the first sector and it's looking pretty strong, I'd say. 48.1. Through Castle now. Oh wow, he was getting very close to the wall then.
Yeah, that was extremely treacherous, but he managed to hang on. He can carry on this lap. Yeah, the downhill left of turn 15, one of my least favourite corners on the track, but yeah, he has the back end caught and hits the wall a little bit. We'll see how much time that has cost him, or if any. Oh, that's okay.
Lahou takes P1 on the timing sheet for now. Let's see how Thomas Harvey can do compared to that.
Yeah, it's potential for another big competition between Spark, TOP, and then TCS off. You know, they have the pace within them, just need to get the points tally on board, P3. Really, and P3, not too bad.
Here comes Hyla then. Let's see what he can do. And it's P16, so right next to his current teammate Patrick Magnussen. Let's see what he can do on his next running lap. So let's see who else is currently on a decent one. Frank Hammond is in the last sector. Quite a decent lap so far from the HGP driver. The Dutchman is quite experienced in Super Cup. He's raced in it for the last few seasons and looking to put up a strong showing today. Let's see what he can do. And across the line with a 150.1, a very, very strong last sector there. That shows that he's running quite low downforce compared to Alex Lahou. So that could pay him back very well in the race. But it's currently looking at the gaps, it's an extremely tight field. As Jan Dragoon, on my timing sheet, lights up the first sector. Not quite the same in the sector 2, but let's see what he can do in the last one, Owen.
Yeah, exactly, Tom. Yeah, this is fantastic to see. There'll be different driver focuses on their setups and how they want to get their tyre strategy sorted, but we can see what positions are available for Dragoon on this pace. It should be near enough to the front row. Can he secure it? Oh, just off P3. Yeah, that seems to be the golden ticket. But Mayer gets back on top at 149.1.
Yeah, some very strong laps out there. Qualifying's just getting closer and tougher at this point. A few more people are on laps now. Let's have a look at Levine Kishore. I believe he's making his debut today with Pixelate. It's great to see him. Spoke to him before the season started, so it's nice to see him out on track today.
Yeah, we've a good variety of drivers that are coming in for their teams with their 0 points for 2023, but it'll be fascinating to see how they get on. This is quite a baptism of fire to come to Baku after no prior results in this season's championship. But here's another on board with Mike Quint, who sits third in the championship. He's finished in the top 6 in all of his races so far, but in terms of the podiums he has 2 but no wins for the Multiforce team.
Yeah, Mike has been really strong lately. I believe already 2 times this season he's come very close to a victory, but it's not. Oh, and he hits the wall in the castle, unfortunately. But yeah, he's come very close to some wins this season already, but he just hasn't quite got there. So he's definitely got the pace. Let's see if he can use that pace in his qualifying session to try and get a maiden victory.
Indeed. Yeah, Multiforce, the most experienced team in the Formula Sprint 1 Championship. The fact that they have the well-known names of Quint and Menno Klont as well, so that goes to show they value that experience even in the chance for the younger drivers to possibly succeed. So yeah, it gives us a fresh perspective. Yeah, Quint finishes up that lap. That hit on the wall would have been too difficult to overcome, but now our sort of people's champion in a way, Carlos Martin, also merges into pit lane to try again with 3 minutes to go. This is really the last chance saloon, Tom. Anyone who is not in the pit lane right now, they should be on their out lap soon, or else they'll miss out on the last cut-off. It is a near 1 minute 50 or thereabouts lap.
Yeah, people are waiting for the last second opportunity. They want those marginal gains of the rubber out there. As the rubber is building up through the session, they want to leave it as long as possible until they can start their lap, so they can in theory have the best track of anyone possible, so they can set the fastest time possible. So we'll see how that goes for them, but we'll definitely see a load of lap times right at the end of the session when the peak of the track is the highest. But here comes Scott Mitchell-Malm. Let's see what he can do, and it's an improvement to 12th position. That's fantastic for the Sanson driver. Anyone else out there on a good lap, Owen? I think Marino maybe improving.
Yeah, Federico Marino, yeah, he's got green personal bests in the first 2 sectors. EP Lab, one of those teams that will want to rise up the championship as best they can. And anything happen here? Yeah, he's got to 24th. So Marino into P24, 1 minute 50.7.
Thomas Harvey's on the lap.
Yeah, to get to the top 15, he'll have to get sub 150. Yeah, another hot lap coming in soon.
Oh, it's a strong sector 1 there.
Yeah, this is huge for Harvey. Yeah, this is important for his championship bid as well. The big momentum shift as he won Australia Race 2, and Freilich and Mayer were both DNFs for TOP. So that is a big opportunity for Harvey to continue to pile the pressure onto TOP.
Oh, that was quite a whack there. Hopefully he hasn't picked up too much damage from that, but so far, oh, he's looking like a decent lap.
Yeah, he's building the platform he needs. As a matter of fact, just has to get through the final sort of sweeping right, and then he can get on the power and wait for that DRS zone to open. There it is. Just waiting. Foot to the floor. And his time, it's good enough for second. It's the final sector letting him down as he was really on the pace, but unfortunately Jack Mayer, whatever his setup has given him, that is the 10th over. Thomas Harvey, here's that Hilla again. He really wants to find extra pace. He does. That's P9.
Yeah, I'm really surprised to see some people are already out on track setting lap times. Maybe this shows how the track here today actually isn't wearing the tyres too much. You know, they're managing to get 2 or maybe even 3 laps out of them before they're properly gone. They're going for multiple runs here, as many opportunities as possible, as here we see Alex Lahou on a lap.
Yeah, that is an important point for today's race strategies, Tom. We can certainly predict what the drivers will do based on this form, if they're able to keep the soft tyres in good health ahead of the lap. And it's Lahou, purple, sector 1, but in the castle section, he's wobbling, and unfortunately that will put pay to his ambitions to go on pole. Szymon Freilich into P3, so that's further disappointment for Lahou. It is a TOP 1-3 with Harvey splitting them apart. Jan Dragun, though, for Rowan, we know what he's capable of as well. And if this sector 2 time lights up as well, I suspect this is a chance at breaking that dominance. No, it is a little bit down. Not the end of the world by any means, Tom.
Yeah, he's definitely gone for a lower downforce setup, so it's going to really pay him back down this really long final straight here. Can Jan Dragoon improve his position? Oh, I don't think so. I believe he's backed off there. Yeah, he's backed off.
Oh, no.
Is there anyone else on a decent lap at the minute? I think Lucchini might be. Yeah, Lucchini's still on a lap. Quite a strong sector 1 as well. Has he opened the DRS? Yes, he has. He may improve. Let's see what Lucchini can do. Across the line, and he remains P13. Oh,
and damage there for Federico Marino.
Yeah.
He will be on the 3rd to last row, and unfortunately he can't possibly improve in that state of vehicle. But it is indeed pole position. Jack Mayer sets the convincing pole time. No one else was able to get a 1:49.1 like him. But the fact of the matter is Thomas Harvey and Freilich both have a significant need to topple him into turn 1. So now the full summary. We have our top 3 there locked in. Alex Lahou, we saw how good he was in practice, but he qualifies 4th ahead of Jan Dragun in 5th. Hamming, Quint, Martin, Russo and Hilla complete the top 10. And just outside we have the the high 1:49s from now on. Munier, Magnussen, Lucchini, Gutt, Mitchell, Malm, Nizio, Watson, Luke Mitchell, Beaulieu and Koenig. And the drivers 21 through 29 are as follows: Menno Klont, Kishore, Zubinski and Guzovsky, the 2 Hyperion teammates, Marino, Hoekstra, Fuentes, Voice and Miram.
So yes, that's quite a spectacular qualifying session today. Very close on the timings as per usual in FS1. The top 5 were covered by 1.5 tenths. So when I'm seeing names like Menno Klont and Amari Watson, I'm very surprised to see them quite far down the field, but you've still got to have respect for how difficult and how close these grids are. And if you just can't hook up a qualifying session, you're gonna be quite far down the order. Because you've got to think about it. You do all of this practice, like potentially hours and hours of practice, and then you've got to condense that down to just a 15-minute session, and you've got to expect one of your laps in those 15-minute sessions to be the one that sets you on the grid is very, very difficult, very challenging. But let's hope that Menno and Amari can pick it up in the race. Baku has plenty of overtaking opportunities, plenty of crashing opportunities. So yeah, it's going to be an exciting race. Who do you think could take the win in race 1, Owen?
Well, if it was up to me, I would say Freilich could possibly use his renowned race pace to beat out his key contenders here today. But yeah, Mayer with a good start, it could be quite a formality if he gets away strongly. But Harvey will do everything in his control. But yeah, I'll back Freilich for this one actually, Tom.
Yeah, indeed. TOP is already looking strong here today. And in terms of strategy, I believe from race 1, well, most people will be starting on the softs. I believe Baku is a track where there are a lot of corners and straights, but there's some really long straights out there, so you want to be going quite low downforce, especially in race trim. But the corners here are quite unique because quite a few of them, they're 90-degree, quite slow corners actually. They're not that high speed compared to other tracks like Silverstone where you get high speed sweepers that absolutely demolish the tyres. Well, here I think the front tyres, they're not going to suffer too much. It's more the rear tyres. They're going to be extremely rear limited out there today, so you can expect to see some cars squirming on the exits. But yeah, that makes me think that they're going to try and pick the soft tyre and stay on it for as long as possible. We're going to definitely see them on softs for the majority of race 1. They're going to try and make them go as long as possible. I believe the overcut is going to be the thing today as well, and they're going to try and avoid the hards like the plague. I could be wrong, but that's just my general feeling. And that means in race 2, I think, yeah, most people are just going to pick soft and just go for it. It shouldn't be as hard as a track like Imola or Bahrain on tyre wear. So I think we're just going to see a soft sprint out there today.
Yeah, very well put, Tom. Track temperature not like what we saw back in Bahrain. It was extremely hot there. But here it is 22 degrees Celsius air and 45 degrees track. So yeah, it should give the soft tyres the platform they need to perform for the majority of the race. The 28 or 25 lap race 1 will be complemented with a 17 lap sprint race with reverse grid rules to come. Yeah, I will back your opinions on the soft tyres. The drivers will want to keep them for as long as they possibly can. But if there's anyone towards the back of the grid, they may want to gamble on maybe medium tyres for a bit and then softs for the remaining half of the race in clean air, and then hope for other opportunities to come up. Yeah, the warm-up session is going to remain for another 7 minutes, so we'll keep an eye on any possible signs of alternate strategies, Tom.
Yeah, indeed. And in the race itself, it'll be very, very interesting to see whether people actually have opted for a low downforce to high downforce setup, or even one in the middle. Because speaking from personal experience last season, me and Moritz, at Nocturne, we went for a very, very low downforce setup, and we even went to the stretch of hiding it in the practice session and running a different, higher wings for most of the practice that people wouldn't catch on. But we ended up with a very, very low downforce setup for the race, and that was it was fast in quali because on this back straight is just so long. But yeah, in quali it wasn't quite so fast, but in the races, as long as you could get ahead of your opponent, there was absolutely no way they were going to get back past again. So we went up against the TCS off guys. It was Jake and Darius, and then in Nova it was Owen and I believe Craig. And yeah, Owen and Craig were sort of in the middle on drag. The TCS off guys, they were a lot higher on drag, and it was an absolute spectacle of racing. We were blasting past everyone on the straights, but then as we got back to sector 1 and 2, they were overtaking us again. It was just that lap after lap. So yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what downforce levels people run with today. It would be a shame if people go for similar levels, but yeah, it just makes for a much, much more interesting race.
Yeah, I admire the cunning, in fairness, very well played. So yeah, we will start to note some of these lap times coming in. I see Mike Quint has gone fastest in this warm-up at 151.0. Yeah, compared to qualifying, there's a few seconds down, obviously, on the race fuel load. Yeah, it seems like the majority will be going on softs if this current pattern is to be replicated in the race. But yeah, I imagine the temptation for some drivers to go for an unorthodox setup. I think one or two would certainly think about it. Yeah, it would be great to have different drivers taking different approaches with their setup, given, as you explained, the combination of 90-degree corners, the very narrow sections as well that we'll see in Sector 2, and the enormous the straights that we have, particularly the start-finish straight, when it eventually comes one.
Yes, something else that I'm really interested about tonight is you can see the clouds on track. It's very, very cloudy out there, very overcast. I wonder what the chance of rain is, because I don't think FS1, no, they haven't had a wet race yet, so if there's a bit of rain added to the mix, it could be, yeah, it'll be very, very, yeah, it'll be extremely exciting. Because last year, I believe in Lights, there was rain, and that was, yeah, that was a thriller of a race. So we have to watch out for that one.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, imagine that. Yeah, we'll hopefully get fed some information as the race goes on. But yeah, I believe it's just cloudy for the moment, but the sun will be breaking through the clouds for the moment. I see a gaggle of cars there. Should be the North Force guys at the very least leading that train.
Yes, indeed, that's currently Mike Quinn on some race running, I believe. A warm-up session is always an interesting one, because as a driver, you've just gone through the absolute adrenaline rush of qualifying, and now you're sort of starting to relax a little bit, but you're still nervous for the race. Like, there's nothing that just beats the nerves waiting for the race start. You've been doing all these laps, all this preparation, and you just want it to go well. You want your preparation and you want your practice to pay off. So, yeah, there's always that nervous feeling there, but in the warm-up session itself, you want to go out there on your race fuel, do some running. Your brain's still sort of lagging back in qualifying trim, and sometimes you're pushing the tyres a bit too much, but yeah, it's just a good opportunity to set yourself back into race mode, because it's a completely different way of driving the car almost. Probably want to do some practice race starts, because they're crucial. You don't want to burn too much tyre on the race start, you don't want to get a bad start, you don't want to stall or something ridiculous. Also want to practice the pit entries a few times. Yeah, even though the warm-up's only 10 minutes, it's quite a busy session for some drivers out there. Others just like to go and have a pee. But yeah.
Yeah, I suppose every driver has a routine that they like to stick with. And yeah, however it pays off, I do wish them all the best of luck. Yeah, Thomas Harvey, since we last mentioned Quint, Thomas Harvey now has fastest warm-up time in the final 2 minutes to go, with Dragoon taking P2 for himself. And now Alex Lehoux puts in a smashing time there, so he really has got possession of incredible pace. But, with his qualifying spot on the second row, he will want to make that count as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe coming out of lap 1, we can expect to see a different person in the lead of race than we saw on pole, because there's the slipstream. Eventually there'll be the DRS as well, but you've got that really, really long straight. But saying that, if people are running lower aero, the slipstream and DRS is much less effective. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the drivers play out the race today, whether they attack early, try and gain track position, because even, yeah, despite the long straights, it may still be quite a challenge to pass. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Really looking forward to it. So yeah.
Absolutely. Time should be running out in the next 40 seconds for the warm-up, and then the drivers will set their very last lap times and then be sent to the formation. Yeah, Loic Meunier has put the other TCS into second place in practice, so Minier, we know how good he is as well. He was particularly impressive while we saw him in Bahrain last month. So if he can get up higher than the 11th place that he currently sits on for the race grid, then yeah, TCS will be due some very, very strong points. Yeah, the warm-up session has the checkered flag out now, so everyone needs to get ready for the race.
Yes. So, what are your predictions for lap 1 then? I know I've done a bit of a race prediction, but what are you thinking is going to happen on lap 1?
Turn 1, I'd suspect the top 6 drivers will be okay. There could be a bit of mayhem at the back. It is very hard to judge turn 1 when it comes so quickly off the start grid. But the drivers at the back will be carrying the most speed, and maybe someone might misjudge it a little bit, or maybe even turn 2. It's also a very treacherous corner as well. Any thoughts yourself, Tom?
Yeah, it's always, lap 1 is always quite difficult because sometimes you can forget to heat up your brakes approaching the grid, or sometimes they just generally cool down, and it's easy to be caught out by people braking early. So yeah, being in the mid-pack, it can generally be quite chaotic, especially at a street track like this. But yeah, I have a feeling that lap 1 is going to be absolutely no incidents at all. Everyone's going to make it through. It's going to be a clean lap 1, and we're going to have a thrilling race on our hands. As you can see, some people in the background doing some practice starts there, getting ready for the race.
Yeah, very smart thing to get sorted now while you've still got the opportunity. And then the formation lap, you will be allowed to test yourself on the clutch one last time before it is the lights out. Yeah, I'd say most drivers should be pretty satisfied with what they've achieved in the warm-up. But if there are any great opportunities, they'll have to probably make them count for themselves. It won't be handed to them. If your prediction comes true, Tom, you have to earn your keep. Yeah, a strong set of drivers and teams. I am encouraged from what I've seen. Yeah, it's just a case of who performs best on the first evening here in race 1, and then the chance to do it all over again in race 2 should keep the drivers alert. Especially we've seen in the past where one position can make a huge difference on that random draw for the reverse grid. So yeah, everyone needs to be well aware of all of those scenarios.
Yeah, it's always crucial to make sure, well, you don't have to win both races, but if you want to do really well in the championship and have a strong season, you want to have a strong race 1 and a strong race 2. You don't want to chuck it all away in race 1 and have no chance of a race 2. And also what you don't want to do is have a strong race 1 and then have an incident fighting back through the grid in race 2 because of that random grid, random reverse. So yeah, it's always a very big challenge in FS1. It's a very fun challenge to see as well. And yeah, really looking forward to the race out there today. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, this is is a treat on offer, I'm sure. Yeah, as I said, all those questions I posed to drivers after Melbourne, they were chucked into the bin, as Jeddah will feature later on in the championship. But now we have the getaway on the formation lap, and we can have one last chance to review our grid. So it is Jack Mayer on pole position ahead of Thomas Harvey, Szymon Frelich and Jan Dragun complete 3rd and 4th there. On row 3, Frank Hamming followed by Mike Quint, and then Carlos Martin 7th and Federico Russo 8th. Inside the top 10, it's Maciej Hilla and Loic Meunier. Meunier must have been promoted since I last checked. Patrick Magnussen and Mirko Lucchini 11th and 12th. Vincent Guts and Scott Mitchell-Malm 13th, 14th. Kaspar Nizio and Amari Watson will be competing for the final point there if the grid is out to be told. And we've Luke Mitchell, Maxime Beaulieu, Philip Koenig and Menno Plont. Just outside the top 20 we have Levine Kishore, Matthews Zabinski and Matthews Guzovsky, 22nd, 23rd, and Federico Marino in P24 for EP Lab. And the final 5 drivers, Wopke Hoekstra, Kevin Voice, Alex Lahou takes a grid drop, so that's actually a big deal, didn't spot that. Juanma Fuentes and Perseus Miram in 29th and last. So yeah, I mustn't have seen the grid drop penalty for Alex, Tom.
Oh yeah, I remember what happened to Alex. I believe he had a crash in qualifying of Australia, and he decided that he wanted to give it another go. He left the pit lane and tried to improve on his lap. He must have felt like there was a massive gain there. So he's taken the hit, and for this round he's gonna, I believe, is it a back of grid almost? So
yeah, he's basically back of grid.
That's quite a shame, as Alex was looking extremely good for Baku. He's now got a huge amount of work to do. But yeah, let's see what tyres people are on. So obviously the top 10, they're on softs. P11, Patrick Magnussen, he is also on the softs, but then we have our hard runners in P12, 13, 16, 17, 19, and all the way at the back of the grid as well. So they're obviously looking to just get rid of the hard tyre early on, pit early for the softs potentially, and yeah, blast to the end. But I believe, is that Yousuf back? It is. Hello, Yousuf.
Guten Abend, folks. How are we all doing?
Yeah, I'm keeping well, thank you.
I shall retire now back to the race director box.
Yeah, your endeavours much appreciated, Tom, and good luck with the cameras. Welcome back, Yousuf. We'll hopefully get to speak to you in just a moment, but we have lights illuminating and turn 1 to be contested here at Baku. There we go. They're away. Mayer should be able to remain in command here. Frelick on the outside of Harvey. We're going to keep it tight. Dragoon following there in 4th place, Hanning in 5th there. So we'll see if Harvey defends position yet. Frelick a little wiggle, but that's fine. And it looks like the majority of drivers are A-OK. Yousuf, take it away.
No DRS on the straight. It was a really good launch from Szymon Frelick into turn 1, but Thomas Harvey covered him off absolutely beautifully. I was wondering whether Frelick might be able to get the drive coming out of turn 2, but couldn't quite get enough of a slipstream run onto Thomas Harvey. So your top 4, and I believe even further down the field, are exactly as they were at the end of qualifying. As we're having a look at Mike Quintus, here is Vincent Good now side by side going on the outside into the chicane. That's going to give him the inside for the right-hander. Contact between the two, but thankfully no real damage will occur.
Yeah, the drivers can keep their noses clean and keep working away. Mayer pulls out nearly a second's advantage in just the first sector. Obviously it is on the longest in the GPVWC calendar. Let yellow flags out, hopefully nothing too bad. Yeah, Mayer absolutely charging away so far, and Harvey just has to keep him honest here. Got to avoid that wall. We saw lots of drivers taking extra risks out of turn 16 or turn 15 as well, and hitting that wall, but thankfully on the first lap no problems.
And this, well, for Thomas Harvey, remember he's currently sitting second in the championship, just 11 points behind Szymon Frelick. And for Jack Mayer, he could really use some points. Remember, pretty much every single round so far this season, there's always been some bad luck that he's had, Owen. You know, we think back to the first round at Imola, he had that off in race 2. The previous round, again, he had an incident. That's now we're looking at Federico Russo going up the inside of Bin-Suhayl into turn 1.
Yeah, well executed move there, and the Alpha Delta team will be rooting him on to see if he can make any more places. Yeah, Jack Mayer pulling out over a second's advantage, and that continues to grow, but Harvey, his task should be to hang on to second place in case Frelick finds an opportunity to pass, but at the moment it is all about consolidating position before the DRS blasts will take place. Yeah, the very technical chicane there, any hit of that inside sausage curb and you'd be vaulted into the wall. Yeah, Frelick taking a lot of curb there as well, so aggressive driving from our championship leader.
This circuit actually reminds me a little bit of Imola in the sense that you have a couple of corners which are reminiscent of Variante Alta, which is the chicane towards the end of the circuit at Imola, where you really need to throw your car over the curbs just so that you can open up the steering angle. You see it heading into the left hand as you go into the castle section. And even in the chicane just before, here's another good example of that. You can see Szymon Frejlich practically gaining some airtime as the drivers make their way down the hill into what is really the final actual corner on the circuit.
Yeah, they won't feel the remaining corners whatsoever. But yeah, it is continuing to be the Jack Mayer, the start of dreams for him. Harvey not able to keep up, but Frejlich should get a very healthy slipstream now without DRS for the final time. He's going to sit in position and wait for his chance. So yeah, that is calculated driving. Fastest lap there from Mayer, 150.399. Here's Munier, who wants to lead for TCS off after Lahou's penalty. That put him from P4 all the way down to the back. And the battle with Patrick Magnussen, who's stepping in for Build Sim today.
I saw almost a bit of contact between Carlos Martin and Federico Russo further up the field as Munier now going up the inside of Magnussen. So you've got a really good drive coming out of T2. And for a second, I thought Scott Mitchell-Malm would try to follow through, unable to do so. And you can see now that three-way cluster of cars as Masihayla has been able to close up to this battle for seventh between Martin and Russo.
Yeah, this will be helpful stuff if Hilla can gain on Russo or Martin. The train of cars has to remain in station before the castle section and indeed after it, but Dragoon, if anything, he wants to get a position on the podium. A very strong first sector for him. That's evidence of a solid setup. It's able to take the corners very well, but we'll know for definite what his sector 2 time is like. Gotta avoid that wall, spot on. Let's run down to the hill and we'll have the timing line coming up. Yeah, he's lost a bit of time compared to Frejlich, about a tenth of a second there, so those two drivers dead even so far.
The main thing though is he within that 1 second DRS zone? It doesn't matter if you lose a tenth or you gain a tenth, as long as you are within that 1 second. So we'll see whether that rear wing flap opens, and indeed it does. So mission accomplished effectively for Jan Dragoon, and this time round Szymon Frejlich not quite as close to Thomas Harvey as he was one lap ago, and can't really utilize the full effect of the slipstream and the DRS. As here comes Scott Mitchell-Malm up the inside very effectively on Patrick Magnussen.
Yeah, solid opportunity here for Mitchell-Malm to get points for Santon. And that's Kacper Nitio just in the background getting the slide on. Another burst of DRS coming up now. It's very hard to exploit it in this part of the track unless you're in a strict 1v1 situation. And that's a bang of the rear right suspension from Mitchell-Malm. Magnussen has to be careful. He's overcooked it a bit. He'll hit the wall, and that gives Nizio P12. So incredible position changes here, Yousuf.
Yeah, I missed the first contact between the two of them. I was looking at the timings, but the second one, I'm sorry, I've got to put the blame onto Patrick Magnussen. He knew that Mitchell-Malm was on his inside, and he really did not leave a lot of room for Scott there. So I think there was always going to be contact as a result that would then send Patrick Magnussen into the wall. Would like to see another look at it though, but on first take, I do think Patrick Magnussen is at blame for that.
We won't have any actual broadcast replays for you, so we'll have to use our own memories today, Yousuf. But from what I saw, Magnussen was just trying to cut in on the outside line, and Mitchell-Malm was already occupying his half of the corner, so he came in too hot and hit the wall, but no harm done on the front wing side. But now we'll head on board with Munier and his opportunity to take on the lead Build Sim on DRS. Can he get it done? Yeah, he's alongside, so turn 1 should be a gimme unless Hilla has an incredible brake test. Now he's going to try the undercut, and there we go, another shot at Mitchell-Malm, who's lost position to Nizio.
And do wonder whether Mitchell Malm has some damage on his car. Let's not forget as well, this is a debut race for Scott Mitchell Malm, so he's putting in a really stellar performance right now for Santen Motorsport here in Azerbaijan. Just trying to keep an eye as well on the gap at the very front between Jack Mayer and Thomas Harvey. Still just over a second separating the two drivers, and then Szymon Frelick, Jan Dragoon just within a second of each other.
Yeah, the top four are very stable at the moment. Really a case of Thomas Harvey too far back from Mayer, but he has the pace on genuine lap time to keep ahead of those drivers who will have DRS available. And Mike Quint will be all alone in fifth with Hamming in sixth. The gaps are starting to appear, and it's really a case of the drivers settling into their rhythms now, getting those tyres working as hard as they can. Yourself and Tom discussed pre-race, Yousuf, about how the soft tyres are able to be preserved based on the angle of the corners, and it's the tyres don't have to be worked quite as hard, and the track temperature is pretty stable enough, not too hot, not too cold either.
What it sounds like you're telling me right now, Owen, is that we're going to be seeing Masihayla going on for the softs again in race 2, like he's been doing all season long, and we'll see whether that can net him another podium. Masihayla always having a podium in every round. However, the weird one was back in Bahrain, where he only managed 6th in the second race because he finished on the podium in the first race of the day. Here, though, comes Patrick Magnussen still battling with, I believe that is Mitchell Malm, who's now going round the outside or trying to hold on to the position around the outside, and they'll still be side by side heading into turn 2. Yeah,
Magnussen gets the boxing gloves out. He makes sure he had the inside line this time, but Mitchell Malm for another opportunity, roles reversed. Will Malm be able to get the move done before the next corner? Oh, he's going to get cut off. Mirko Lucchini in the background just has to be alert, as these two drivers are really making themselves well known in FS1.
And Mitchell Malm again just having a think about going up the inside. Patrick Magnussen very aggressive in slamming the door shut on the inside, holds on to the position, but I did really enjoy that because Scott Mitchell Malm didn't have DRS, he just had Slipstream, and Slipstream comes out on top versus DRS, at least here at Baku, and he was able to get a good enough run. I was half expecting that as soon as he pulled out Slipstream, he'd just lose loads of pace relative to Patrick Magnussen, but it didn't pan out like that, which is good to see if you're in the interest of just some good old-fashioned wheel-to-wheel battle.
Yeah, I'd be all in favour of good, honest competition with the drivers able to go wheel-to-wheel as well as using strategy. So it continues to be a case of Harvey. He has taken some lap time out of Mayer the previous go-around, so he's attempting to get below the 1 second threshold, and we'll see if he continues to pull that off. Yes, he is gaining time on Mayer, so it is a turnaround now as we look at Hilla pulling back into the slipstream of Munier. Indeed, Federico Russo ahead in 8th place for Alpha Delta. This will be a strong running for Russo. If he can hang on to this result, it will be his best after a 9th place in race 1 in Australia.
Here comes Maxime Bouillot, and just really late on the brakes, and maybe he's got his brake bars a bit too far to the rear because his rear is just completely locked up into turn 1, and good job from Menno Font to be able to avoid what could have been a pretty nasty incident between the pair of them.
Yeah, thank goodness he was able to stop in time. The Butler Motorsports team have 0 points so far in the championship. Luke Mitchell, who is an emergency driver today, he's just behind Vincent Gutt in the battle for the final point in 15th. So this is a critical race early on in the Butler Motorsports camp. And Beaulieu getting into the top, into the 19th position or above will be really helpful. But Lehu, who we know started at the back, is up to 18th on his journey to the points as well.
I have to say, what is going on further down the field from P15? You look at some of the names and the caliber of drivers. You've got Vincent Gutt, Luke Mitchell, who I believe was the FS1 champion last season, or FS2 champion last season. Omari Watson, Alex Lahu, Menno Kwon, all of these drivers in the top 10 of the championship standings, and they're all the way down the field, really not having a good showing so far. So I wonder if that's a case of just slowly adjusting to the circuit. Maybe we'll see more from them in the reverse grid later on.
Yeah, we saw in qualifying some drivers really shone brightly and others just didn't quite probably hit their best potential because of how close it was. A lot of drivers were in the 149 territory. Just if you couldn't get into that sort of spot, you were going to be outside the points and hoping to catch up. So yeah, those caliber drivers who didn't set a strong qualifying have not really reaped the benefit of race pace. But we'll now have another look at Mitchell Malm and Magnussen, who really want to make themselves, the first race of their seasons here in FS1. They want to make themselves known to the other teams and to their own teams, of course. So yeah, they have certainly captured our attention.
You see the rear end of Magnussen coming out of I can't remember which quarter it was, but his rear end just absolutely slid out like crazy, and you can see that Magnussen really pushing, trying to get the power down into those rear wheels as quickly as possible. And sometimes they just get a little bit feisty on him. But Thomas Harvey now within 1 second of Jack Mayer, and that means a race is on at the front of our FS1 battle. Now a four-way battle for the lead of the race.
Yeah, well done to Harvey. He's been well and truly rattling down the times on Mayer since the FS2 champion of 2022. He had an incredible start, just made a real surge from the get-go, but Harvey is now getting superior lap times in, and DRS will help him stay nice and close. And as a matter of fact, yeah, another small gain for Harvey that last lap, and the Sector 3 was a personal best, given that Swedish Munier has taken a look on the inside and overtakes Russo for 8th place. Russo stays low and he'll want to get a counter-attack in, but now he realises that would have been too risky, and Maciej Hille in P10 wants to have a look at Russo as well.
I'm sorry, Owen, I've got to call you out on that. Did you just use a NASCAR reference here for actual circuit racing?
Well, my avatar in Discord is a custom NASCAR I designed myself, so yeah, I have a little bit of the vocabulary within me. Yeah, you got me there, Yousuf.
To be honest, if you had said that about 1.5 years ago, I would have had no idea what it meant, but I've seen enough iRacing broadcasts to now know. Or I actually tried to do a few, I think it was NASCAR IndyCar races, and you get the spotter that says stay high, stay low. Yeah. And I eventually figured out what they meant.
Yeah, I suppose you see the markings on the public roads here at Baku, very similar to certain NASCAR ovals and IndyCar ovals. They would be split.
Honestly, the lane discipline of these drivers is absolutely terrible. Like, no indicating, nothing. It's atrocious. I think they all deserve fines from the police.
Yeah, we'll have plenty of stern words for them, breaking all kinds of traffic laws, but I digress. We're back onto the start-finish straight for the lead quartet, and Harvey continues to stay within that 7/10 to half a second range, so he's not able to close in, as Mayer must have great pace through the corners, and it's able to keep Harvey away. But this is as close as he's got now. He's really closed in. And Freilich is also watching. He gained a huge amount of time in the third sector as well. And we'll see if Mayer has any weaknesses now that Harvey will have a real chance to put him under pressure.
Yeah, DRS on this second straight as well. I think Thomas Harvey too far back. He's been slowly reeling in Jack Mayer, and I think he's going to be patient. He's going to wait for the start-finish straight before he has another go for the lead. You can see he's just able to carry that little bit more speed into every corner, really feeling these tyres a bit better. We're only 10 laps into our 25-lap race. We're going to be nearing that pit window as well, and maybe Thomas Harvey is pushing absolutely everything on these tyres because he wants to pit at the end of this lap, and maybe Jack Mayer wants to go a few laps further, or it could even be the other way around. Maybe Jack Mayer's tyres are completely dead, and Thomas Harvey still has a little bit left in them.
Yeah, it's unknown for certain at the moment, as lap times remain reasonably consistent within 1 second of the personal bests. But yeah, anything can happen with these tyres. They can drop off at the blink of an eye. But Harvey, not too unsettled so far. He continues to chase down Mayer as best he can. But it looks like the DRS will have to help Harvey out now, as he's back down to the half a second deficit. And now he's going to be hitting 6th gear now, up to 300 kilometers per hour before DRS. And yeah, spot on 300 and now DRS. So here we go. This will be the speed boost he craves.
Honestly though, Thomas Harvey didn't get a good run through the final sequence of corners. Doesn't matter though, the DRS overspeed is huge. Up the inside he goes with Jack Mayer. Mayer though tries to hold it around the outside.
Yeah, that's incredible from Mayer. He held on. You can see on the bottom right of your screens the brake and accelerator pressure. And now flat out again for Harvey. That was his first attempt for the race lead. It didn't pay off as Mayer was equal to it. And the racing line is the ideal way to go into turn 3. It's just too narrow there, and Dragoon gets far too hot into the corner and hits the wall with his tyres.
Honestly though, really good drive this from Jan Dragoon. I've got one of my favourite sections of any broadcast here, Owen, which is a milky fun stat. And what do you think is Jan Dragoon's best result so far this season out of the 6 races he has competed in?
I'll take away my screen that has the championship order on it. I believe his best finish is 4th.
It's a P5. But after the P5, it's P10, a P11. Jan Dragoon does not often see, well, anything above the low ends of the top 10. So this is a really, really good drive from Jan Dragoon to be able to stay in touching distance of this top 3, and even looking as a driver who can capitalize if they do make a mistake and maybe even have an outside chance of a podium.
Yeah, it's definitely a huge boon to Dragoon's confidence, as you've mentioned with your milky stat back there. P5 is the best he's seen, but P4 that he's got right now for Rowan GP, it could be improved upon if something were to happen to these top 3 drivers. The TOP, I'll make sure to get that one right again. So don't send it on the rear wing. That's Harvey following the race leader in there for turn 1 for the moment. And obviously Mayer really does need these points, as we've heard from you as Yousuf already, the fact that he has lost out on a lot of points due to extreme bad luck.
Nearly 50 points behind Szymon Frelick in the championship standings right now is Jack Mayer, so he could really use this race win and the points that come with it. Carlos Martin still in P7 ahead of Munier and Heiler, also having dropped down to P10, but these top 4 still as they were. Just want to take a look at Mike Quint's lap times last time round, a 1:51.5. So 4 tenths quicker than Jan Dragoon, but matching the pace of the 3 ahead. And you can see Mike Quint just in the background as very squirrely as Jack Mayer on the exit of the right hand.
Yeah, he used a lot of the inside curve there, Harvey. Thankfully, didn't throw him off at all. Now that they're out of the castle section, they can start to get some left turns in. It's just a constant flurry of left turns for the moment, and then they can have the start finish straight again. Oh yeah, attacking the curbs once more. Absolutely necessary for Jack Mayer's point of view. And the curbs for the inside and then the outside, that's all good. So Harvey, he should be in range if he can just survive the final 2 kinks. Yeah, that's all good. So this is the DRS opportunity that Harvey may have been preparing for.
This is the closest he's been to the back of Jack Mayer all race long. He's going to be completely clear of Mayer by the time he reaches the braking zone. So this is Thomas Harvey well and truly up into the lead of the race.
Yeah, this is a great moment for the Spark driver. He had a big swing in the championship all his way in the last race in Australia. And if this carries on, it will be another healthy dose of points to give him a real championship caliber boost. Jack Mayer will be defending from his own teammate now, but he'll slot in behind Harvey, and you'll hope to throw the return back to Harvey and get the lead back before any thoughts of a pit stop.
Still these four close together. I've got another milky stat for you here, Owen. Who are the 4 different race winners we have had this season?
Okay, I should know this. It's Freilich, Martin, Harvey, and Hille. All right.
No,
it's
Mayer.
Mayer,
who's the final race winner with that one race back in the first round at Australia 2 weeks ago. Mashi Hille with 3 podiums, P3, his best result this season. Also, when we take a kind of overarching look at this race, keep your eyes on the likes of Luke Mitchell and Matthias Kozowski running on those harder compound of tyres for this opening stint. They could be very, very quick come the second half of the race and might be making their way up the order quicker than otherwise expected.
Yeah, the off strategy not very popular today, but yeah, plenty of drivers willing to go off strategy in hopes of catching up later. Mayer is ducking into pit lane, so he wants to win this race on strategy. So it'll free up his teammate Freilich to have a go. Yeah, the opportunity to get fresh rubber on. It feels like Mayer wants to use clean air while he has the opportunity. And there we go, onto the yellow stripe mediums.
I don't think he's going to get clear air, though, is the issue. I don't think this is the ideal strategy. I think this is Jack Mayer essentially having to concede defeat, that his tyres are not in as good nick as the likes of Thomas Harvey and Shimon Freilich, and as a result has to pit earlier. He's going to come out now alongside Luke Mitchell, or just about in front, but he might be a sitting duck for Luke Mitchell on this straight, because remember, no warm tyres for Jack Mayer. Luke Mitchell are burning red hot, and he's going to look to use a slipstream in the DRS as he makes his way on the outside towards turn 3.
Yeah, this is absolutely pivotal for Mayer's destiny in the race. Yeah, maybe he's just got the tyres working away now, so Mitchell unable to send one down the inside into the third turn. So this is Harvey's chance to try and break clear of the remaining competitors. Yeah, I suppose you're right, Yousuf. He would have used up a lot of his tyre wear, and has to try and counteract. So we're just past, we're past halfway now. So this is interesting to see what Harvey has in store. He is just dancing on that 1 second territory. I think he's just about got it. It's going to be very close before the detection zone.
A little bit of slipstream might come into play for Shimon Freilich, but I think Thomas Harvey is clear. He's well and truly checked out. Does he have to come into the pits this time around? Don't forget, Jack Mayer would have been slightly compromised, and indeed Thomas Harvey is making his way into pit lane. Shimon Freilich and I believe Jan Dragoon will both stay out on circuit.
Yeah, so Thomas Harvey will try and counter attack Mayer, and there's another car in the pit, so he's got to round it to make sure he doesn't cause a collision. So yeah, he'll swap over the exact same strategy. But yeah, Frank Hamming, Mike Quint all pit, Russo's pitting. So they go deep into the pit lane just before the exit. So here we go, Mayer once more under pressure from Mitchell, and yeah, Mayer has been beaten by Harvey. Harvey ahead.
And Harvey quite a distance ahead as well. You can see Thomas Harvey on the back of the car in front, so over a second clear of over a second clear now of Jack Mayer as the two making their way down towards turn 3, and Thomas Harvey needs to find a way through on Patrick Magnussen as quickly as possible, but I think now he's going to be stuck behind Magnussen all the way until the start-finish straight, so this will give a small opportunity, a small window for Jack Mayer and Luke Mitchell to close into this duel.
Yeah, so a bit of a reprieve there for Mayer, but the opportunity to take advantage of it won't last much longer. Will be another sector, and the start-finish straight should seal it for Harvey, and then Magnussen could possibly cause Mayer some headaches, but we'll see how that develops. Freilich, his time's looking solid. Dragoon keeping him very much honest. Yeah, Maciej Hille inherits P3 for the moment. Yeah, with the laps filtering away now, we'll see if anyone will want to go very, very long. So it looks like the TOP and Rowan GP crews have to be ready. Here come the top two.
Into the pits we must go. E-I-E-I-E-I-O. For those people who have seen, you know, the legendary videos that were on YouTube with Tiamat Marduk and Arafa back when they used to do F1 Top career modes together. Thomas Harvey, though, should be able to get well past these two. We'll get a nice bit of tow as well from Patrick and Magnussen, and you can see Luke Mitchell in the background, just trying to stay in touch. And has Luke Mitchell being passed by Jack Mayer and Thomas Harvey? Something's happened to Luke.
Yeah, Mitchell was behind them, wasn't he? Oh,
No,
Mayer has contact with Dragoon. Dragoon has lost out to Mayer, but not by much, that has to be said. Freilich ahead of his teammate now. So as it stands, Harvey will become race leader when those final three drivers ahead of them pit. Freilich into second, and Mayer will have to be content with third.
Well, Dragoon hasn't lost that because remember he was in P4, so right on the back of Jack Mayer as all of this unfolds, and he was the last of everyone to hit as well, so he's going to have the best of tyres for the remaining 10 or so laps of this race. And Jan Dragoon is still a big contender for not just picking up a podium, but maybe even picking up a race win. It all comes down now to Thomas Harvey. He has clear air, he's got a second between himself and Freilich. Can he pull away and can he stay out of that DRS range?
Yeah, it seems like DRS will continue to keep the drivers nice and close. Yeah, great chance for Harvey to pull out some time. Mayer getting close as he dares into turn 15. And now he'll have DRS on his teammate coming up very soon. Yeah, Harvey looking mightily strong now that he is working away those tyres. Lehu 3 seconds or so ahead of Harvey, so those two drivers won't be likely to interact. But here comes Mayer, even before DRS, he's alongside, and he should get the second place back from his teammate before too long. There you go, the move should be done now. There you go.
And the two of them do not want to battle because that would bring Jan Dragoon back into play. And now the question is, now that Jack Mayer is back in front of his teammate and he has him clear air, can he pull Szymon Freilich along to close into Thomas Harvey? They just need to find about half a second or so and they'll be back within DRS range. And they've got plenty of time to do it as well. They just need to keep the consistency going for the rest of this race.
Yeah, so we have Lehu in the pits. So leaves Hilla as the current race leader, but for not at all much longer. But yeah, his ability to go long on the soft tyres has become very famous now in this season. He continues to follow that template that he set for himself. But now let's take a look at Lehu, who is going for a last to points challenge, and he just
missing
needs
a front wing.
Oh, has he lost the front wing? Oh dear, yeah, there we go. There's clear as day. He's lost the front wing. So his chance of 15th is in jeopardy, Yousuf. Oh, he's going to be close. Oh dear.
Yeah, and well, there's always some disaster that befalls Alex Lehu. We're fairly used to it. It always happens in some way, shape or form. However, I guess this time maybe the silver lining is that he wasn't having the best of races when it's happened. I don't know if that would take some of the sting away from the injury or if it would make it worse.
Well, he had the belief in himself that pole position was possible, but he didn't get the completed lap in at the end, so he ended up 4th before his grid drop. So yeah, that it would be disappointment regardless for Lehu. Hilla has now entered pit lane. That allows Harvey to take back the lead. So we'll see how Hilla fares. His competition will be close by. I suspect the likes of Martin and Quint should be behind them now. So we'll see how that develops. But Russo on start from the straight. He is through on Martin, and that's P8 for Alpha Delta.
Yeah, really good move from Russo. Standard move, to be fair, as out of the pits, I believe. I'm not entirely sure who that is coming out in. That might be Amari Watson.
No, Amari Watson 13th. It's Vincent Gutt 12th.
And remember, Vincent Gutt is on the soft set of tyres, as is Omari Watson and Luke Mitchell a little bit further down the order. So keep your eyes out for Vincent Gutt to make his way up through the field. He might even be able to make his way into the top 8 if he can put some laps together.
And the shining red of Magnussen's build sim is under pressure from Mitchell in the Butler Motorsports car. From Mitchell's point of view, I think the team will be egging him on to see if he can possibly get even more points. But yeah, Beaulieu in 16th, also for Butler. He's well behind, so I suppose Mitchell has nothing to lose and everything to gain here.
Mitchell tried to get a move on into turn 4, which is an impressive place to overtake if he had pulled it off, and he almost did as well. He's going to have to be a bit more patient and maybe wait for a more standard overtaking spot as we're having a look at Jan Dragoon, who's back within a second of Szymon Frelick, who has fallen back from Jack Mayer. The gap between Harvey and Mayer at the front has been staying around about the same for the last couple of laps, and Jan Dragoon will now really be fancying his chances of a podium spot.
Yeah, he's definitely got the pace to do it, but Frelick, whatever thoughts are in his mind, does he want to try and help his teammate out now and help his own championship bid, just get solid points on the board again, or else Dragoon, if he has an opportunity to go alongside, does Frelick have to back out and think about the championship? But here's Omari Watson now. He's taking advantage of his soft tyres, battling away with Vincent Gutt here, also on the softs. So these two drivers probably should help each other out more so to try and catch up to Nizio and the second Rowan car.
Omari Watson under pressure from Vincent Gutt, who's having a little think about going up the inside. And remember, Vincent Gutt, with these fresher tyres, he needs to be making these moves relatively quickly to make his way through the field. He's got Omari Watson directly ahead, and then it's nearly a 4-second gap up to Kasper Nizio in P11 and Loic Munier. And with only about 6 laps or so to go in this race, that's not a lot of time, as Jan Dragoon is now ahead of Szymon Frelick.
Yeah, it must have just happened in the castle section.
Does he have damage on that front wing? Because that was a rather heavy impact on the right-hand side of his car.
Yeah, we'll need to get some confirmation whenever the camera work can come to us, but we'll see with Frelick. Looks okay, but Frelick will be very quick now on the start-finish straight, and it'll be his first chance to counter-attack Dragoon. Goes straight around the outside, but Dragoon doesn't want to give up. Tires, oh, he's got to be careful there. That's Frelick avoiding that retaining wall. Dragoon is absolutely defending with his life here. Great job through turns 1 and 2.
The overspeed of the TOP esports car on the start-finish straight was absolutely ridiculous. I thought it was completely clear of Dragoon, who was incredibly brave on the brakes and is being brave on the brakes once again into turn 3, but now Frelick has the inside for 4.
And there you go, he has the position back, and Dragoon won't be deterred. He'll still have opportunities down the final furlong in this race. A little bit of a love tap, or at least an implied love tap that was close. So yeah, Dragoon, I think he has the bit between his teeth. He wants the podium.
He absolutely does. Frank Hamming will possibly be closing up to these two, taking nearly a second out of Szymon Frelick on the last lap, and if these two continue to battle, we might have a 3-way battle for P3 in this race. Vincent Gutt and Omari Watson still behind Kasper Nizio, and I think actually Omari Watson has been able to find a way past Vincent Gutt, so it's these 3 soft tyre runners stuck behind the Rowan GP car.
Yeah, so Watson should be gaining more and more time as the laps pass on, so Nizio should be kept informed of that fact in 11th. I suppose Rowan's priority is to get Dragoon onto podium paying position. There was a flash on the LED for the blue flags in this final sector. I'd imagine That would be for one of the... Yeah, it might be for Miram at the back there. He might be just getting lapped around this time. Alex Lahu getting purple lap times now. He's also on the softs. So we'll keep an eye out on him, see if he can gain any more places. But for now, it is Watson who is gaining. And he should be clean through on Nizio before the braking zone.
Good standard overtake from Omari Watson. He's now got a few seconds to close in onto Loic Mooney. I've got another quick stat for you here, Owen. What do you think is Omari Watson's worst result of this season so far?
Yeah, I know this one. It's 6th, isn't it?
Incorrect. It's P9. Omari Watson has always been inside the top 10, so this is his worst result so far of the season. Does still have opportunities to pull himself back up into the top 10. Top 9, though, might be a bit of a stretch, and I think Omari Watson will just be looking towards that second race of the day, where he could look to pick up what would be his first podium of the season. Very consistent has been Omari Watson, always between P4 and P9 this season so far.
Yeah, so my bad, I'm getting another question incorrect, but there you go. We'll see how he can get on, particularly with the reverse grid. He has a chance of getting P10, improving his lot. But now Dragoon, he will want to give his drone team a bit more of a lift here, as we saw Nizio beaten on that last lap for pace. So we'll see if TOP and Freilich can manage the remaining laps in this race 1 of Baku. Here we go with Dragoon, has the inside line available. Will he continue to show courage on the brakes? Oh, he will, of course, but he's got to be wary of the switchback.
Shimon Freilich is searching for a way to bounce back. Couldn't quite get the drive to get up the inside of Dragoon into turn 2. Has to sit behind, but we've seen the overspeed of the TOP esports car, and he's tucked right behind Dragoon on this straight.
So turn 3, outside line. The overspeed won't be enough this time for Freilich, and Dragoon can settle down into the ideal racing line and defend P3 now. Hopefully, from his point of view, he has got the remaining tyre wear as he pitted the latest out of the drivers competing for the podium, and yeah, he has a chance to pull away now before the next DRS zone coming up. Ooh, that was close to the ball. Yousuf, yeah.
I don't think there'll be any particular damage on that Rowan GP car. Rowan GP having a good showing so far, with Jan Dragoon up in P3 currently, and the other Rowan GP car of Casper Nizio down in P14, who has now been overtaken by all 3 of those soft tyre runners, Omari Watson, Vincent Good, and Luke Mitchell. Yeah,
so for Nizio now, it's just a case of getting the car safely to the finish and getting the remaining points. So enough for there, the 2 points for 14. So Freilich, his Sector 2 time looks strong, and he's definitely got another shot at Dragoon. And so we'll watch now, nearly 300 kilometers per hour. Let's see the overspeed.
What is this speed from Freilich? Is ridiculous.
Well, yeah,
how
it
do you
takes the breath
defend
away
against that?
Yeah, that is incredible. So we'll see now if Dragoon, can he apply the pressure again? This is his chance now on DRS. Freilich hugs the inside line, and got to be wary of the gaps in the wall. Now he returns to the apex, the ideal apex entry, and Dragoon's got to be careful. Yeah, he hits the wall, tyre side first. Yeah, this is an incredible battle for 3rd place, and it's not over yet.
I think Shimon Freilich has to be running really, really low downforce, or Jan Dragoon has to be running really high downforce, because the amount of overspeed is not symmetrical. Jan Dragoon does not catch up that much when he has his DRS open, so I think Dragoon has just gone with a slightly high downforce setup, because it does make sense to run minimal wings here at Baku. Very high speed circuit in terms of just how long the straights are. and relatively, well, I wouldn't say high-speed corners. You don't really need much downforce for them. The straights are the most important aspect of the circuit here at Baku. I think it's a fair thing to say. And Jan Dragoon is going to have a couple more laps to find a way back through on Szymon Frelick. But even if he does, I think Frelick has enough overspeed to actually beat Dragoon on a drag race to the line.
Yeah, I'd absolutely agree, Yousuf. Dragoon, he can't overtake now because then it'll give Frelick more opportunities to use that overspeed, and if he saves it to the last lap on turns 3 and 4, then that'll enable that drag race to take place. So, yeah, Dragoon in a very precarious situation. He has to outsmart Frelick and have no way to be beaten. So that is a very difficult situation to think about when you're driving at near enough 300 kilometers per hour.
Where does Jan Dragoon find an opportunity to really make a move? He's in the slipstream of Szymon Frelick on the run down towards turn 3, but not enough overspeed to have a send up the inside. This lap and one more to go. It's going to be very tight between these two, and you can see how much braver Jan Dragoon is on the brakes. And although we say braver, maybe his car can just carry that much more speed because of the downforce that he is carrying on this Rowan GP car.
Yeah, that downforce will prove valuable here and now into what we will now see is the Castle section. The most narrow set of corners you can imagine, right here and there, with the Armco barriers also on view. Yeah, Dragoon negotiates them absolutely fine in the wake of Frelick, but with the penultimate lap turning into the last lap now, it should be Dragoon's throw of the dice. He does go late on the brakes to give Frelick a little bit of a message through the set of corners coming up now. Another left-hander for 16.
This is where Dragoon has to make sure he gets a really good run. It's definitely better than one lap ago. He should be able to tuck right behind Frelick, and I think maybe have a go at Frelick into turn 1. The question is, does Frelick go defensive, or does Frelick know that even if Dragoon gets past, he can beat him on the run to the line on the final lap?
Yeah, he's just going to park it where he wants to take the racing line. Dragoon on the inside. He's got to slow it right down. Beware of the switchback. Wibble wobble for Dragoon, and Frelick, yeah, I think he does determine the tactical play, Yousuf. Oh, it was a huge slide there. He does catch it just fine. So advantage for Dragoon. This may be what he would have visualized in his mind when he went for the move. But Frelick is going to sit back and watch as the Rowan GP car does get a little slidey again. But yeah, it is a golden opportunity for Dragoon, but he has to use the downforce, otherwise it will be the overspeed that determines this third place.
There are some clever little tricks that Jan Dragoon can do. He can really park it on the apex as he heads down the hill in either of those two left-handers that we'll be making our way into in about 20 seconds or so time. And if he can park it in front of Szymon Frelick and then get back onto the power, it might just hamper Szymon Frelick on being able to get a drive on Jan Dragoon onto the start-finish straight. But Jan Dragoon is giving it absolutely everything. Look at the rear end as he stamps his throttle down. And now this is it. These are the two oh so important corners. The two last corners where you have to get onto that brake pedal.
Yeah, he uses all the curb available to him into 15. How about 16? Oh, the lap traffic. Could that give Dragoon a little bit of DRS to salvage third place? He wants to time it to perfection, but I suppose it's out of his control. So we'll watch now for Harvey. He's on the final straight and should be primed to win race 1 in Baku. Yeah, he's going to make it at this point. Too much speed for Jack Mayer on this day. And Harvey will weave and slide to celebrate a well-earned race win. But here comes Frelick on the line. It's third place for Frelick. But how close can you get? It's about 1/100th to determine third place, Yousuf.
So close, less than a tenth between those two, and we said it right. We saw the pace that Szymon Frelick had on the start-finish straight, as Mike Quint is lacking a front wing, but we saw the pace that Szymon Frelick had, and we kind of knew it was coming, that no matter what Jan Dragoon did, Szymon Frelick would just beat him on a run to the line. And there's nothing that Dragoon can do there. Absolutely phenomenal race from Dragoon. Incredibly unlucky not to end up on the podium.
Yeah, he'd be absolutely disappointed in some ways. Like, he did his very best, but it just wasn't to be. We saw close battling there at the end. Watson, I think, has come up trumps there, and Gut versus Munier was extremely tight as well. We'll see that in full with the timing tower at the end. And here's Lahu. He wants to get 20th for a bit of pride, fighting from the very end, and it's going to be a three-way battle here. Oh, goodness gracious. That's a very slow car on a very dangerous part of the track. So Lahu up to 19th in the drag race. Koenig and Mitchell Malm. Oh, it's going to be so close. Lahu beats them out. Mitchell Malm beats Koenig. So that is, heart in the mouth stuff.
900 separating the three of them. That was absolutely brilliant. And you know what? Kudos to Alex Lahu to see that tiny little gap. A gap that was shrinking as well, and say, you know what, my car will fit in it. And, well, his car did fit through it, and he managed to make his way up into P19 as Fuentes is having a little bit of a moment towards the rear end of the circuit.
Yeah, I suppose, he might be just relaxing a little bit too soon. He just needs to get the car to the finish line. And there you go, Frelick will be chuffed with that third place, but now we can examine those results in full for you now. Thomas Harvey victorious in race 1 at Baku, beating out the TOP guys, but Mayer from pole not able to convert it as he would have liked to, but he'll be very pleased with a solid second place. Frelick in that drag race overcame Dragoon, absolutely fantastic. Frank Hamming kept his head down and secures a top 5 result. Quint, Killa, Russo, Martin and the other net wrecks of Watson completes the top 10. And then the points will be awarded to Gut, Munier, Luke Mitchell, Magnussen and Beaulieu. Unlucky for Katzbar-Nizio, he tried his best, but 16th is no luck for him. Clont, Likini, there's Lahu doing an incredible job for 19th, and Mitchell Malm on his first appearance of the season is 20th. Then we have Philip Koenig, Bobka Hoekstra, Matthias Sabinski, Levine Kishore, not classified, he's called a DNF, but 24th. Beats out the likes of Fuentes, Marino, Mirum, and then not classified at all, Voice and Gazowski. Yeah, that is a truly thrilling opener here at Baku. So Yousuf, now that you got the race in the pocket there, any further thoughts?
I think we saw some good battling. DRS straight on that start-finish straight, very long. And I think we're not going to be short of any overtakes for our reverse grid race. I think it's going to be very spicy on who can take this, because I can see the likes of Thomas Harvey, Szymon Frelick and Jack Mayer all being able to battle for the front, and also comes down to who really wants to brave it on the softer compound tires. I think we all know Masihayla is going to try to do that, but I don't know if we'll see any of the other drivers try.
Yeah, we'll find out more as the reverse grid draw is made, but for the moment, let's take a commercial break, but don't go anywhere. Welcome back, GPVWC fans. Race 2 in Baku, the capital of Azerbaijan, is coming up very soon for the Formula Sprint 1 drivers. And the news for reverse grid, for the perspective of the lead drivers, Yousuf, I think they'll be very happy because P6, Mike Quint, has drawn the lucky number, and that gives Thomas Harvey et al. The best possible opportunity to move to the front again.
I'm sorry, I just couldn't take you seriously as we saw that car in the background doing about a 720 and rear-ended the tyre barrier. So someone's definitely having a lot of fun. I think our leaders from the first race won't have a lot of fun because they only get to start from P6, and that's boring, right? You know, you won the first race, you've only got a total of 5 cars. You get to overtake for the second race. I think is going to be a dull race for them, but a fun race overall because we did see a lot of our top-end drivers a bit further down the order. I think Amari Watson, one driver to watch out for. They'll be starting down in P11. Let's not forget Alex Lahou down in P19. He's always one driver to watch out for as well.
Yeah, here. So yeah, the balance of the drivers who don't get to benefit at all from the reverse grid draw outside the top 10, they are still ones to watch. But yeah, Mike Quint, be eager to see if he can get another shot at the podium, as he's managed to get 2 so far this season. It was Bahrain the only time he wasn't able to get a podium, but he's constantly around the top 6 area of our FS1 grid. So yeah, another chance at solid points for him. And yeah, the top 4 guys that we saw excelling, from Harvey through to Mayer, Freilich and Dragoon, they must think they have the golden opportunity to compete again.
Yeah, we should have some good battles in store for us. Lap ones tend to be not that dramatic here. We saw in the first race just very, very standard stuff into turn 1, but we've seen a couple of drivers really braving it round the outside of turn 3, most notably Szymon Freilich in his battles with Jan Dragoon. A couple of times holding it around the outside of turn 3, which I was quite impressed by. Maybe we'll see more people attempting to do that here in the second race of the day. And let's not forget, just 17 laps. So our first race was 25 laps, 17 laps for the second race, which means that most drivers should be able to make it to the very end on the softer compound tyres, although we might see some drivers opting for the hard tyres just so that they can push 100% for the entirety of the race.
Yeah, it could be a case where some drivers are wanting to play it safe to guarantee they'll be able to complete a strategy without pit stops, but others, they will want to try and pull away from those more casual, like those more cautious strategies, and see if they can get a pit stop in and then catch up again at the end. So we'll find out exactly what the landscape will be on strategies when the drivers are summoned onto the grid itself. So there we go, we're underway. So our next formation lap begins, and it is Mike Quint who got the lucky number for the reverse grid pole. Frank Hamming, solid without much spectacle there, he gets P2. Dragoon, Freilich, Mayer and Harvey, the top drivers there, 3rd through 6th. Then we have Maciej Hila and Federico Russo just behind 7th and 8th. In the top 10, it's Carlos Martin and Amari Watson, the NetRex GP teammates. Vincent Gutt 11th alongside Loic Munier. Butler Motorsport will be delighted with this. Luke Mitchell 13th ahead of his teammate Bodian 15th, with then Magnussen also shining on debut 14th and Nizio just outside the points 16th. Clont, Bikini, Lahou and Mitchell Malum are the top 20 drivers, 17th down to that P20. And now running down the rest of the drivers, we have Koenig, Hoekstra, Zabinski and Kishore, 21st through 24th. Fuentes and Marino EP Lab teammates alongside each other, with Perseus Miram 27th, Kevin Voice 28th. And Hyperion's Matthias Gozowski will hopefully get another shot after DNFing in race 1. He starts 29th on last, Yousuf.
That is our grid, just shy of 30 drivers. Mike Quint will be leading the field down the hill towards the final real corner, as I like to call it, the super penultimate corner in effect. So Frank Hamming, Jan Dragoon starting in third. If Dragoon can get a good start, maybe get clear of Freilich and Mayer before DRS comes into play. Otherwise, I think no matter how this race goes, Jan Dragoon is always going to get beaten by either the TOP eSport drivers or Thomas Harvey, just because of how much downforce he has on his car. And don't forget as well, look at those hard tyre runners. Freilich, Mayer, Harvey, Luke, Mitchell, all drivers who are going to be starting on the harder up 2 compound tyres, will be a little bit susceptible in the opening few laps versus the soft tyre guys.
Yeah, there's a split. 50% of the top 6 go for the softs, and the remaining half settle for the mediums in the hopes of, or the harder compound, just make sure they make it to the end. And here we go, the drivers all getting prepared on the grid, and Gazowski at the back of the line. He's going to get as much heat as he can into the harder compound tires, and then he'll be set, and then we can have our lights out and ready to go. Turn 1, as Tom mentioned, was spot on. It was absolutely clean, no problems either at the top or the bottom. So let's get the lights back on, 5 in all, and they're away. Can Quint use those softs to his advantage? It's a big pull away. If anything, that's a bit of a squeeze
Dragoon.
as Hamming leads.
Jan Dragoon getting boxed on the outside, really compromising him. Hamming able to get past Mike Quinn, and Dragoon just about holding on to third against a very feisty Shimon Freilich on the exit of turn 1. And now we're going to be making our way down towards turn 2 with Frank Hamming leading the field.
Yeah, an exceptional start for Hamming. He now has the opportunity to get the maximum points in this sprint race, to be 20 in all, I believe. So Harvey in P7 wants to try and go for the double here, but Maciej Hille, our soft tire supremo, into the top 5 already, so fantastic start for him.
And is that Thomas Harvey going side by side with Carlos Martin heading down into the right hand? I think it is. Martin on the inside, it could always end in disaster. They're still side by side, and someone has to yield heading into the castle section.
And it was Harvey who backed out of it to make sure the race can carry on beyond one sector. So Martin up to 7th, and he is another driver who loves to put on some fantastic shows with his flair and great pace. So if Dragoon, who we saw performing very well, can give Quint a headache, then he will be in a very commanding position early on.
Got a good drive. I don't even think he's going to need the DRS. He's right on the back of Mike Quint, heading onto the start-finish straight to start lap 2. And I think Jan Dragoon will be up into P2 by the time we make our way through turn 1.
Yeah, let's see if the opportunity does arise for Dragoon. He will be determined to go for it, but the inside line is inaccessible. He'll have to do the switch back. Tires getting close as you dare.
Oh, what a
Dragoon
move!
on the outside, wow.
And you can see exactly what Mike Quint was trying to do. He saw Dragoon coming, covered off the inside, thought he could get back to the outside in time for the braking and turning point. Realized Dragoon was there, and all credit to Dragoon. Nerves of steel to hold it around the outside of turn 1. Move of the day so far, as Masihile is searching on the rear end of Jack Mayer for a move. Actually, I think it's Mayer who's found a way through on Masihile, made his way back up into P5. All the while, Thomas Harvey currently stuck down in P8.
Yeah, unreal stuff. Well done to Dragoon there for pulling that one off. Vincent Gutt in 10th for Spark. He knows that his teammate in 8th won't want any additional headache, so if anything, Gutt could do him a favour if he can get by Russo. But Maciej Hille chasing down Jack Mayer, trying to get that 5th place back that he previously held after his incredible start. We'll see if Mayer has the ability to get the draft off Freilich before DRS is open. So there's one last lap before DRS can be activated. Dragoon purple sector 1 there. We'll see if he can carry that into sector 2. Should be the run down to the hill. Yes, he's gaining massive time on Hamming, and this could be the lead for Dragoon without any DRS assistance, Yousuf.
I think he's a little bit too far back to do it into turn 1. If he can get a good run through 1 and 2, maybe he's got the straight heading into turn 3 to make an overtake. But the critical thing is how far he is ahead of Szymon Frelick and Jack Mayer. If he can get to the front, he'll still have a few laps where these soft tires will be a lot quicker than the harder compound of tires. And I think Jan Dragoon right now is in a fantastic position to not just pick up his first podium of the season. Maşi front end nose chopped off into turn 1, needs to spin that car around, but it's going to be hard to rejoin the circuit as well. And that's Maşi race down the gutter.
Awful luck, I'm afraid. Just lost the rear end, and thankfully the runoff gave him a chance to do a 180 and then try and merge back out into the circuit. So Dragoon leads. This is his prime opportunity to pull clear of Hamming, and therefore the likes of Quint. Actually, Quint is ahead of Frelick again. He's using the softer compound tires while they're still in their peak condition. So more puzzling situations now for TOP. They'll have the long distance to think about here, Yousuf.
Look at Dragoon go, wasting no time whatsoever. He's going to be over a second ahead of Hamming by the time we get into the DRS activation zone, you would assume. And Szymon Frelick and Jack Mayer need to get through this field as quickly as possible, otherwise Dragoon is going to run away with this race. Yes, they're on the hard tires, and the hard tires last longer, but we saw in that first race of the day, the soft tire runners pitting between lap 15 and lap 17, so I don't think these soft tires are really going to be losing pace to the hards until we get to maybe lap 13 at the absolute earliest.
Yeah, the drivers should already be comfortable with the tires after performing a longer race distance on them. So yeah, Dragoon, if he can keep setting the timing boards alight, he will have a huge advantage. So then he can conserve the tires better at the end. On board briefly there with Martin, who wants to split the TOP guys and get himself the top 5 results. Thomas Harvey, though, not as comfortable on those medium tires compared to his immediate rivals, and Luke Mitchell gets very loose briefly there, and I suppose for the benefit of his own race he has to yield and let Lahou by.
I say loose was very loose because I think Alex Lahou just made a bit of contact with Luke Mitchell's rear. Maybe he didn't. Maybe it was Luke Mitchell just getting a bit too greedy on the power by himself. But either way, Alex Lahou now ahead of Luke Mitchell. Luke, one of our other drivers running on the harder compound of tyres, as is Thomas Harvey, who is stuck right now behind Federico Russo in P7 as we're riding aboard with Carlos Martin. It's just been piling on the pressure on the TOP eSport drivers as Jack Mayer just getting a little out of sorts as he runs right over the curb and now makes his way through the castle section.
Yeah, so Martin, we didn't get to see him at his shining best in the first race, but now he has this 6th place in his possession and the opportunity to go against the first place team in the Teams Championship, none other than TOP. Maybe he lost too much time out of corner exit there out of 15, now into 16, so he'll have a chance to catch right back up.
Carlos Martin, race winner back in Bahrain in the reverse grid race. Had a lot of pace in Bahrain, did Carlos Martin, and did really well in the first race running, I believe it was on the alternate strategy in that particular occasion. Just got caught up in a lot of traffic, and now he's running with the quick guys right behind Frelick and Mayer, and we'll see whether he can just stick along with that DRS train and maybe have a battle with the likes of Mike Quint and Frank Hamming later on, as again Thomas Harvey just can't find a way through on his teammate Vincent Good, and I'm wondering if team orders are going to come into play soon. And Thomas Harvey just says, look Vincent, I'm quicker than you, get out of the way so I can catch up the order to Russo. And actually, as I say that, I just realised Gert is the one who's got past Harvey on the last lap. So Thomas Harvey not having a good second race.
Yeah, you could almost make the inverse of your statement there, Yousuf. Gert would have asked his teammate, if I get alongside you, don't battle me, let me try and use these soft tires while I have them, and then if necessary he'll give the position back at the end. But yeah, I believe your point there, and the Spark team need Gut to pull away while he has that tire advantage. We now rejoin Jack Mayer in 5th position. following astutely along with his teammate Freilich. Quint, who had that reverse grid pole, he's got more defending work to do, but as a matter of fact, he's too far back on Hamming to really have a chance at a DRS-assisted defence.
And we're doing now 2 seconds clear nearly of Frank Hamming, or about 1.8 to be more precise. Frank Hamming doing a good job keeping Mike Quint at bay. He's a further 1.3 seconds down the road. And when does Szymon Freilich get a chance to make a move on Mike Quint? Because he doesn't have a tyre advantage right now. Yes, he does have DRS advantage. Does he have to wait for those hard tyres to get a little bit better? Or can he make a move early? Because right now, you can see that he's not really sticking with Mike Quint, and he's starting to come under pressure from his teammate Jack Mayer.
Yeah, TOP may have some thinking to do there, but in our YouTube comments, Josh Downard has made the point that Thomas Harvey hit the wall at turn 3 and his suspension has been damaged as a result. It means that his pace is going to shrink, and as a matter of fact, he's down to 10th now. So it's a really precarious situation for him now.
Thomas Harvey, that is disastrous news for our race 1 race winner. And Thomas Harvey has always been in the top 10 this season, a worst result of a P7. And it doesn't look like he's going to be able to emulate that as he slowly drops down the order, has Mounier to deal with, and then, rather more scarily, Alex Lahou. Luke Mitchell also struggling down in P15. I believe he was battling with Alex Lahou at 1.4, P12 or P13, but has just not been able to stick with Alex over the last few laps.
Yeah, that is disappointing there, but there's still enough time. We're about, it'll be the 33% mark, give or take, as Carlos Martin continues his effort to try and get past Jack Mayer. But now let's take a look at Lahou. He's right next to Thomas Harvey, who is really sinking without a trace here, and yet that loss of grip there, you can see that is not going to help him. He's got to yield, and the similarly schemed TCS off car is now through, so the Spark is struggling more and more as the laps pass by.
So I've got a question for you now, Owen, and for all of YouTube chat. What move was better? Was it Jan Dragoon around the outside of, what was it, turns 1 and 2? Or was it what we just saw there from Alex Lahou, round the outside of the downhill right-hander? And now we're getting an absolute cluster as Thomas Harvey tries to go late on the brakes, but remember, damaged car can't quite carry the momentum, holds it round the outside of turn 1. Can he make it stick through turn 2 with a damaged car? Yes, he can! Round the outside, Thomas Harvey reclaims P11.
Yeah, that is courage and a half there for Thomas Harvey. Well done on him there, but it's far from over. And he does have to... he hits the inside wall into turn 3 this time. And that leaves him vulnerable to Nizio, who goes around the outside. And that means Magnussen's also in view, so these mirrors of Harvey's will be filled to the brim with all kinds of vehicles. And he slots into the middle, and there's Butler there getting loose. And I think that was Mitchell who might have lost a bit of grip. He's okay.
Well, great battling so far for our second race of the day. Absolutely fantastic battles all around. Meanwhile, at the front, Jan Dragoon still just sporting a very nice lead, now 2 seconds clear of Frank Hamming. Well, actually, I think it says on the timings that it's nearly 4 seconds, so my timing sheets is having a bit of a disagreement with the one that's on the broadcast.
Yeah, we'll hopefully be able to verify that with our own eyes here, Yousuf, but as we carry on, these drivers entering their 8th lap now. We'll see if there's any potential for a move here, as Hamming is at the head of the train. If anything, Quint will be determined to use this opportunity while he has it. Yeah, Hamming's last lap was a 152.3, Quint 151.6, Freilich 151.0.
Frank Hamming, the cork in the bottle, and here comes Mike Quint up the inside, down into turn 3, cleanly done textbook overtake. And Mike Quint up to second can now try to pull away from these sharks behind as Szymon Frelick tries to go around the outside of Hamming, and the gap was always going to close, so it is still Hamming who is a cork in what is a slightly smaller bottle now.
Yeah, a little bit of Malta wine has, or Maltese wine has gotten out of the bottle, so yeah, he'll be hopefully getting to the champagne on the podium on this pace, but Frelick has the opportunity now to get Hamming out of the top 3 and give himself a chance to claw back some points on the struggling Harvey. He'll definitely have the better in the championship fight if he gains this amount of points on him. So we'll see if the podium will change hands between Hamming and Frelick at the end of this lap. So yeah, the battle will continue on.
And don't forget, as unbiased as us commentators are meant to be, Frank Hamming always will be my favourite driver just because he's using my racing number 73, currently running in P3. But how long can he keep the TOP eSport drivers of Szymon Frelick and Jack Mayer behind? Don't forget Carlos Martin also in that train, but here comes Szymon Frelick with the DRS.
Chooses the inside line well before even the start-finish line, and he's through. So yeah, Hamming had no available options remaining. So there we go, Frelick P3 with the tyres on Frelick's car, the medium or the harder compound. He may be able to catch up to Quint later on into the cycle.
And now Szymon Frelick needs to find a way through a Mike Quint and try to close in. As just behind we can see Jack Mayer having a little think about going up the inside. As Frank Hamming, did he outbrake himself, or did he think there was going to be a contact and then just aborted the corner?
I think he must have outbraked himself. There's no need to abort that corner on purpose, but I suppose he was able to avoid a severe lockup, and he carried on with the left turn. So Hamming from 4th down to 6th now. And Watson put in the fastest lap last time around at 150.5. So Frank Hamming may be losing out further, Yousuf.
Yeah, the rear end of Hamming after that incident was all loosey-goosey, as I like to say, as they made their way towards the castle section. But Hamming seems to have got it under control, but he will be coming under pressure from Omari Watson, who'll be looking to right the wrongs of race 1 and get back to his more consistent ways, where we tend to see him running around 6th or 7th place and not outside of the top 10. Keep your eyes out for Vincent Gutt, who's now within a second of Federico Russo as well. They're currently running in P9 and P8 respectively.
Yeah, Russo as well. Yeah, that's looking like he may lose out to Watson if the lap times are suggesting. Yeah, Watson very good in the first sector, and you'll see Mayer now chasing down his teammate. The team orders probably not in the minds of the two drivers here so far. They have their own motivations to get this podium and possibly more, but Dragoon's lead continues to stabilize at about the 4.3 seconds, 4.5 seconds mark. Mayer following along, seeing the situation in front of him. It's unchanged, so yeah, keep it honest with the teammate, and things should work out well.
Just trying to keep an eye on lap times. Jan Dragoon last time round at 151.0 for Frelick, and Mayer low 51, so 51.2 for Frelick, at 51.3 for Mayer. So they are losing a little bit of time, but those harder compound of tyres will start to go the way of the TOP eSport drivers. The one issue for them though is that they have to navigate through Mike Quint to get some clean air, and then it also becomes a question of how quickly do those soft tyres start to fall off the cliff. And I don't really think we're going to see a big drop off in pace until we get to about lap 14, lap 15, if at all, this race.
Yeah, that's certainly the safe bet here with Watson's camera now. The fact that Hamming, he's been gained certainly in sector 1. There was a huge about 0.6 of a second difference, but in sector 2 I think Hamming has a bit more confidence in his car. So that means that the best 2 out of 3 will be determined by DRS. Watson now will get that activation point, and we'll see what Hamming has to do with his defense. He stays right where he is, and unfortunately for him, he's outsped and loses another position, Yousuf.
And I think now it's just going to be a train of cars passing Frank Hamming. Next up will be Federico Russo, who will be taking that P7 spot, followed by the likes of Vincent Gutt, Loic Meunier and Alex Lehoux, with 6 or so laps remaining in this race. And just in the corner of the shot, you can see the likes of Frederick and there making their way through turn 3, and Russo a bit too far back to have a go into turn 3, as while he does have a DRS, so does Frank.
Yeah, this group of cars should be staying nice and close to each other, and oh goodness gracious, it's a complete mess in the 5-6 chicane, wings and debris everywhere, and it's Watson. Oh gosh, I cannot believe what's happened there.
A day to forget then for Mari Watson, outside of the top 10 in race 1, and in race 2 was running in P5 only to throw it all away. We know Baku is a hard circuit at the best of times, and you have to run so close to the wall. It is so easy just to go a bit too far, lose the front wing. That's exactly what happened, and now there is no front end whatsoever on that car. Watson has to be careful not to run into the back of Russo heading down the hill. But who else got caught out by that incident? It was Omari Watson.
I think it was Carlos Martin, his teammate. The 2 teammates were collecting Hamming involved. Yeah.
Well,
Martin
that is really not good news then for Netrex GP, who have been having a relatively good season, and now there's an absolute cluster of cars making their way onto the start-finish straight, and Loic Meunier might be looking at picking up 1, 2, maybe even 3 positions here.
He's got to stay behind and back out of it. Yeah, TCS off. Their situation has brightened all of a sudden compared to the downfall that we witnessed with Watson and Martin for Netrex. So yeah, that's the opportunity that those 2 Frenchmen needed.
Yeah, TCS off now in a pretty good spot. Alex Lehoux trying to go up the inside of Vincent Gutt into turn 3, and Loic Meunier might try to follow his teammate through, but Meunier has the outside, tries to play the switcheroo, goes up the inside. Somehow the 2 avoid contact, but Alex Lehoux will now check out, and Vincent Gutt has to deal with a very feisty Loic Meunier right behind him.
Oh no, Gutt has understeered. He's hit that turn 6 wall, and that gives Meunier the position, and it could be worse. That's a lapped car getting in the middle of this now, so Magnussen there, he's P9, and he will have the blue flags to help him. So Gutt may have just been spared a huge double whammy there.
Oh dear. As I think someone was mentioning in the chat that it might have been Carlos Martin who was the one who had spun, and Omari Watson collected him, which makes sense because Carlos Martin was the one who was running behind Jack Mayer and Shimon Freilich. So apologies for that. I think I believe David Yunt in the chat is correct in that regard. However, Jan Dragoon still leading the way, nearly 5 seconds clear of Mike Quint, and there are only 5 laps remaining in this race.
Yeah, the final 5. And yeah, thanks very much, chat, for helping us out there. It was such a swift decline for the Martin Watson duo, and it was just hard to spot exactly what happened. But now with the 5 laps to go, Kaspar Nizio on the move here. He's ahead of Magnussen, and that is good news for his point of view. He should be able to keep close enough to Gutt, but Magnussen has one last shot to stay in front of Nizio before the more complex sector 1, the second half of sector 1 is coming up, so Nizio is ahead.
Did you see how close Nizio got to the tyre barrier on the exit of turn 1? I had to take a big gasp of breath because I thought we might be seeing another bit of carbon fibre flying across the streets of Baku. We managed to keep it out of the wall, and it just goes to show just how much everyone is pushing, just how close to their wall they constantly are, how much faith they have in their car's downforce just to be able to stay out of trouble. And sometimes that faith pays off, and sometimes, less often, we do see a little bit of drama unfold.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, now the gaps are spreading out a little bit more. Magnussen is losing a little bit of time compared to Nizio. We'll know for sure at the sector line. Nizio very aggressive into the turn 15 turn-in point, and that should reward him with a few extra hundredths. Yeah, and that proves to be the case. Nizio will want to carry on this pace and see if he can pressure the now leading Spark driver in Gut for 8th place.
I've just seen apparently in the chat that Patrick Magnussen has some suspension damage, but claims that it is manageable. Manageable suspension damage. That sounds entertaining. Or at least something that I've not had to experience. Whenever I get suspension damage, it's just completely undrivable. But Patrick Magnussen doing a very good job to be keeping his car within the top 10 for the Build Sim Volcano team.
Yeah, and our timing tower has the net gains and losses from the reverse grid, and Lahu up 13 places. So yeah, absolutely magical there. That's what we wanted to see from Lahu from qualifying. Oh, that's Harvey trying to salvage something. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, that leads me then, Owen, to, do we think Alex Lahu is going to bin it?
Oh God, I don't want to be the one that curses himself saying no, he'll manage this race and get the result.
So for those people in the chat thinking that we're being very, very evil, we know Alex very well, and he always has these good runs, and then something happens. Sometimes he spins by himself, sometimes it's contact with another driver, but there's always something, and it's meant that Alex Lahu's best result so far, and his only top 10 result, is a P7 that he got last time out in the second race at Australia in Melbourne. And Alex Lahu looking to better that by one position now with a P6, currently ahead of his teammate Loic Mounier and a couple of seconds behind Federico Russo. So a top 5 position definitely possible for Alex.
Yeah, he's on course. Yeah, we'll leave him well enough alone at this stage. We watch the race 1 winner on board, Thomas Harvey, who will probably just be focusing now on following Luke Mitchell rather than thinking he's going to collect big points. Yeah, he does have the yellow stripes harder compound tires, and yeah, it's just case Menno Clant is too far back to have DRS, so Harvey we're just following along with him previously there, and he just needs to keep the head down to this point. Nizio has lost the place back to Magnussen. Magnussen has built up the confidence to try again, and it's worked out neatly for our emergency driver at Build Sim.
Yes, Patrick Magnussen up to P9 now. Alex Lahu almost within a second of Federico Russo. Last time round, Lahu took 8/10 out of the Alpha Delta driver. Meanwhile, at the front, Jan Dragoon still lapping in the low 51s, matching the times being set by Jack Mayer, Mike Quint, and Shimon Frelick further down the road. And with 2 and a bit laps remaining, Jan Dragoon practically has this race in the bag. Yeah,
so the lap times are not falling away. The soft tires are staying the course. Really, they're a little bit of a slide for Nizio. So Dragoon has not fallen deeply out of his target lap time, so he is controlling the pace now. We'll see Frelick. There's a car spun in sector 1 there.
Omari
on the other side.
Watson, because Omari Watson dropped down the order. I don't think that's him, because Watson's already coming up as a DNF. But remember, Watson was running in, I think, P14 or P15, and now he's just completely off the timing tower. So, well, it's just bad news, isn't it, for Omari Watson and the entire team of Netrex GP.
I think Martin decided to carry on. It could have been Martin. That
was it Martin? It was definitely Watson was running in P14, okay. 100%. Okay. Here comes Thomas Harvey looking for a move on Luke Mitchell.
Yeah, so yeah, Harvey has gained a position there. Mitchell was unable to do anything about that. But yeah, there's another spinner there. Is it again Watson?
It's Nizio.
Yeah, it looked like Watson again.
I think it's Nizio.
Nizio,
He's
sorry.
now down in P14, and he was battling with Patrick Magnussen for P9 until a few moments ago. And now Nizio, he has kept that front wing intact, so he can look to bounce back in this race. But our second race of the day, claiming a lot of victors, a lot of victims here.
Yeah, it is proving to be. Yeah, the drivers trying more risks, I suppose, in this race, and it's backfiring on some of them. But that's Levine Kishore who got ahead of Nizio, and he wanted to defend, and Freilich trying and succeeding on the blue flags, but he's lost a lot of time.
What was that Shimon Freilich just had to deal with? It's almost like what happens when you've got loads of slipstream, and then you come out of the slipstream and you just get hit by air, and it sends the car into that kind of wiggle. Just like for Shimon Freilich, it happened well after he came out of the slipstream of whoever that backmarker was. So,
Miram,
yeah, so lucky I think Freilich is there not to have had something a little bit worse happen to him.
Yeah, precisely. It's just the time loss to be really frustrated about that. It's a really unrepresentative time for him. But Mayer has responsibility to lead the TOP squad, and he'll be doing his utmost to chase down Malta Force and Mike Quint. This is the most prominent battle we have on circuit, particularly with the points per second on the line. Out of the points now falls Nizio, as Philip Koenig has put Frisland into position there.
Also, Alex Lahu is within a second of Federico Russo, so we might be having a couple of battles happening as Harvey still battling with Mitchell, heading down now into turn 3. Mitchell on the inside, Harvey going to look for the switchback, but again, Harvey's going to be on the outside now, heading into turn 4, still side by side between the two drivers, and again, Harvey goes for the switchback, and he laughs as Luke Mitchell clatters into the tyre barriers.
Yeah, that's a sore one. He will have felt that one, but Harvey gains the position, and he'll want to make sure he has the firm grip on it now. We're heading into the final lap. Dragoon has maintained that comfortable lead, and he's going to run down the final faux corners, I suppose you can call them, and make sure no damage, no loose ends. Yeah, it looks perfectly good to me. So it is Jan Dragoon to make his name in this 2023 season, and Rowan GP will be dancing on that sideline there, just in the pit grid. He wins it. Jan Dragoon takes race 2, and Mike Quint could only look and watch, but very, very good result for Malta Force there, and Jack Mayer third, Yousuf.
Now, what a fairy tale day it has been for Jan Dragoon, a P4, a P1. You can't ask for much more than that. What a drive. As here is Menno Klont right in the slipstream of Luke Mitchell nursing a wounded car, and I think Klont is going to have to drive to the line.
Oh, I think yes, he certainly has. Menno Klont snatches the position away from Mitchell, and Mitchell, yeah, I'm sure.
1,000th of a second.
Gosh.
1,000th of a second separating the two of them, and I literally think that just came down to who Thomas Harvey was giving slipstream to out of the pair of them.
Wowzers, yeah, that is sensational. It looked like Klont had the job done earlier than what the timing line gave to us, but yes, 1,000th of a second separating the positions there. Koenig and Zubinski get the points in the end, so worse news for Nizio there, and Perseus Miram, who we saw getting lapped as well. So there we go. Dragoon has a little bit of time to celebrate there, and why not? It was a fantastic and very composed drive there. He took the lead, never looked back, and he will be electrified for the rest of the season now. He gets that result. Mike Quint, he's Mr. Consistent, no doubt about it. He had the first grid pole and turns it into a P2. Jack Mayer and Shimon Freilich, third and fourth for TOP. Federico Russo gets the Alpha Delta into the top 5. Lahu and Munier 6th and 7th. Great result there for TCS off. Gut represents Spark in 8th. Magnussen 9th and Beaulieu in 10th.
Yeah, and in terms of the championship as well, I think this is going to be really good news for both Mike Quint and I want to say Jack Mayer as well, who is going to be jumping up a couple of positions. So I think Jack Mayer is going to be 4th in the championship. Mike Quint might be 2nd in the championship now, ahead of Thomas Harvey, who had, well, unfortunate suspension damage in that second race.
Yeah, so it looked like Harvey had the initiative, but it fell apart in race 2, so he does end up down on points compared to his rivals in the standings, but there we go. We now look forward to Jeddah, the race that had to be dropped down in the calendar. We will certainly be thinking ahead to that race. All those questions that we asked when you weren't here, Yousuf, they're all in the bin, but I suppose we can use them again in future. So we now look forward to the interview segment. So Yousuf, any final words before you have to go?
Not really too much, just great battling we've seen today here at Baku, expecting the same in Saudi Arabia at Jeddah. And again, very fun track at Jeddah, very twisty, very technical, and a very long straight, which always makes things that little bit more spicy.
Absolutely. So yeah, there we go. Thanks very much for your time, Yousuf, and hopefully see you again soon. So we can see a build-up of drivers waiting for an interview. So I suppose the first pick, Harvey has a race win in his pockets. I'll pick him first. So bring him in. Hello, Thomas. Can you hear me?
Hello. I can hear you.
So mixed feelings for you today, but I suppose let's begin with the positives. Race 1, very good performance, having the battles and also hanging on to the lead. So how did you think it went for you?
Well, in terms of race 1, I think quali was good. Not like didn't get the potential out, but I think I kind of could tell that from Baku it was going to be one of them where you just got to get the best you can because it's just so hard to be consistent. So P2 was very good, and then in the race, I mean, in the first stint, Jack was just doing really good laps. I mean, I didn't get the best first laps, so I was battling Simon. But in the end, he was just able to pull away by, a tenth or two, 10th and a half-ish per lap for the very beginning of the stint. And that allowed him to get out of DRS. So it was quite difficult to claw him back. Lucky he was struggling with the rears, as he told me afterwards, at the end of the stint. So that kind of allowed me to get back into the DRS and overtake him. And from there, it was really a case of a lottery of what would happen with the pit stops. Jack was coming in with the undercut. In the end, I kind of knew that the overcut would be a bit better, but I wasn't confident enough to go the extra lap that Simon did. So I didn't put the fuel for it. So I kind of wish I did put the fuel for it, because it would have been a bit nicer. I wouldn't have come out with a back marker and would have made things a little bit smoother. Because in the end, the tyres could make it, but I just wasn't brave enough. And then that kind of allowed someone, even when he got damage, to come out quite close to me. So clearly the potential was there for more time, but ultimately he had damage, so I wasn't able to utilise the overcut, and I was just able to keep Jack out of the DRS. So in the end, it was pretty measured win, although it was very close with Jack. So ultimately, Jack and Simon were both tough competitors for this race, and it was, you could toss a coin basically of well, not toss a coin because the coin has two sides, but something that has three sides. If you flip it in, it could be any of us three. That was how it was always going to be race 1. Because the pace was very close between all of us. In the end, I managed to win that, come out victorious, which was pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. And at least you did have the fuel. I suppose in the tighter corners, you do want to have a lighter car, and then down the straights, it certainly doesn't help, or doesn't bother you if you have a fuel load there. But I suppose race 2, we heard you got suspension damage. Can you describe what happened to you?
Yeah, basically I just I think, I don't know, in hindsight, because I lost a lot of time and I wanted to get back up to that group of 3 cars. Was it Jack, Mashi, and was it Carlos? Yeah. And in the end, I just overdid the braking. Well, actually, broke wasn't necessarily too late, but it required me to get the braking right, and I just didn't get it right at all. Just got a snap of the rear, hit the wall in such a way where, meant that the damage on the rear was just too bad. It was just massive steering damage, and I was basically having to lift through. I was having to lift through the last 2 turns, which obviously easy flat. Which is, pretty much sums up the disadvantage I had. So after that point, it was like, well, to be honest, I didn't think I thought I might get like a point maximum. I didn't even think points were even like, I didn't even necessarily know if I'd get points. But in the end, a lot of, as Baku is, and unsurprisingly, even, in race 2, the reverse grid, there was a lot of incidents going around. And in the end, just sort of managed to sort of pick up pieces from those. I had a good battle with Luke Mitchell in the end as well.
Yeah, Luke, that was great.
Obviously, it's nowhere near the way I should have been. So, it's frustrating, but especially because it was happened on literally, I think it was like 2 or 3. Lap 3, actually, I think. But it was just enough to render the race pretty much done. So it's one of them, but you just got to take on the chin ultimately. It was still a race win today, so ultimately that kind of saves the sort of the round. But yeah, not ideal for sure. But we'll move forward.
Yeah, you take it on the chin, but yeah, Jeddah rescheduled. It's coming up next, so hope you're well prepared for that one.
We'll see. New for everyone. So it's weird because I was answering the question, was it 2 weeks ago? But obviously been delayed.
Yeah, the question.
So it kind of feels a bit of repeat, but it's new for everyone. So really, it's should shake things up, but who knows? Who knows? Well, either way, it's going to be close. I'll be surprised if it isn't.
Okay, well, Thomas, thanks very much for your time, and good luck in the next race.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm going to bring in the TOP representatives that I can see. So Shimon is there, and Eoin McGoggy as well. So I'll get them in next. So welcome to the interview room together, Shimon and Eoin McGoggy for TOP. So Shimon, I'll start with you. Race 1, solid enough, but did you think there was any way you could have gotten any closer to the win?
Probably not smacking a wall on my in lap before pitting. That would have helped.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I think a lot of drivers were caught out due to the nature of the track. But as well, race 2, you're looking solid enough. But I suppose beating your teammate is a task too far, I suppose.
Well, I was. He got past me, so I was just following him, trying to catch Quint, and then going into the final lap in the 3rd sector. I got just completely blocked by a back marker, so I was out of it, and I had to settle for 4th.
Yeah, it's still a positive score in your championship. Sets you up nicely, I suppose, for Jeddah, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I didn't really feel confident on this track. I knew Tom and Jack were quicker than me. I mean, obviously in the quality they were quicker, but in the race it was a bit closer between us, but still, it wasn't my best performance in both races, I think. But yeah, it's come out 3rd and 4th is not bad. Yeah.
Yeah, and Owen, I suppose for your point of view, it's an evening where you didn't get a P1, but I think it's some of the most consistent points TOP have picked up all season.
Yes, it's the first time we got points in both races with both drivers, which is good.
So yeah, do you think the performances from Harvey and Dragoon, do you think there's anything you could take from them and bring them forward to the next round?
We could take a lot from Tom because we work with him, but I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with Jan. I doubt we'll be looking too much back at this. It'll be just focused on Jeddah. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it could be a big lottery, but appreciate your time, Shimon and Owen, and see you in Jeddah.
Right.
I'll bring in Vincent Gutt next, so the other Spark driver, so we'll hear what he has to say. Hello, Vincent. It's Owen speaking. Solid enough day for you, even beating your teammate in race 2. So how do you feel it went in your perspective?
I didn't expect to get an interview. That's the first thing.
Oh, you're waiting. I could see different drivers waiting for turns. So.
Yeah, I was just in the room for Tom. Yeah. It was quite well. The race went quite well for me. Although quali wasn't that good, I hit some ghost debris in turn 2. And yeah, race 1 was okay, and race 2 I gained more positions than expected, and I was on the wrong tire. Actually, I wanted to use the hards, and I was on the softs. But it worked better than expected, and in race 1 I noticed the tire was better than expected, so it wasn't that bad. And Tom, yeah, he chose the right tires, but in the end, yeah, it didn't work that well for him. And yeah, that's my race, or my races.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, you'd be probably looking up in the championship order a bit more now. You were probably disappointed in Australia. The first race didn't get any points, but yeah, you're keeping solid. So do you have any thoughts on the rescheduled Jeddah? Is that a track you think you can triumph at?
Oh, I really like this track. I drove it in F1 already, so it's fun to drive there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, thanks for your time, Vincent, and see you there. And well done
Thank
today.
you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Suppose I missed out on Jack. I bring in Jack. He'd be worth talking to as well. So I'll bring in Jack. So welcome, Jack. Had your teammates and your team manager on as well. I suppose that from your point of view, how did you think you fared today?
I think it was going okay until I thought you might have forgotten about me just then. I was about to go.
I thought you were there and then you were gone, but
that's right. It was an interesting event. The car is probably the worst it's handled all season. I think me, Shimon, all of us that work together, I think we can all agree that this is the most uncomfortable we've felt from compared to other circuits. I mean, the car was fast, but it was really give or take each lap. So bringing out pole in qualifying, even after dropping 2 tenths on both laps, actually, I was happy with that, but I knew there was a lot more to do in the race than qualifying. I knew our car was better for the race. We had a lot more speed than most of the people, I think, around us, with the exceptions of like Mike. But I think the first part of the first stint, I was surprised by the gap I built over Tom, because in previous simulations we'd done together, it was a lot closer. So it was interesting to have built that, I think it was 1.4 second gap. But then the rear's starting to drop off, and that wasn't something I had intended. Obviously, I hadn't expected to be honest, because in qualifying, I made a change to the setup, 1 click on the front wing, and it made a big performance boost. But because I hadn't done any race preparation on it, I didn't expect anything different. But yeah, that's what really led to the rears dropping off in the first race. So that explains the lack of pace at the end of both stints. But then we went back in race 2 to the original setup, and yeah, that was the pace we had expected on medium, on hards. But yeah, overall, I think I scored more than Shimon and more than Tom today, so I think that's what I'm taking away, if anything.
Yeah, certainly a huge takeaway. it should set you up very well for Jeddah, which could be a wild card round. Do you have any predictions on how you'll get on there?
I mean, it looks different, but it bears similar resemblance characteristics to Baku. It's very fast. I don't know if it'll be as low downforce. I'm sure some people will try. But we've never driven there on R Factor, on anything besides a certain platform. But I think that's anyone's. We could see some surprises, or we could see irregular people at the front. We'll have to see.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll find out for sure in the next fortnight. So, Jack, thanks very much for your time as well, and see you there.
Thank you. See you in 2 weeks.
Josh Downard's been waiting a while, so I'll bring in Josh next. So, welcome, Josh. How do you think your team got on today?
Well, I don't know if they count as, or if I count as having a team anymore, but yeah, I was helping out the Spark guys today. So yeah, they did quite well. Tom was the winning race one. Sort of got on with it and just sort of drove well all race. So yeah, that was good. Vincent sort of stuck in all the sort of DRS trains and stuff like that. They're always bound to happen here, so bit tough for him, but yeah, he did well, and obviously they both got points in all races, so yeah, overall it was pretty good.
Yeah, and the championship with TOP, that could prove valuable, but if you're going to be sticking around for Jeddah, do you have any thoughts in your own mind about what could happen there?
I don't really know. I mean, obviously it's different for everyone. Yeah, I don't think anyone's ever would have driven around there even on R Factor at all. So it's going to be interesting for sure. I'm quite excited to see just the race in general as a spectator. I think that'll be a good one. But I think Jack was saying that it should be similar, at least to Baku in terms of setup stuff. Like obviously it's a lot of high speed stuff. So you'd think that maybe the people that were fast here will be fast there as well, but see, we'll just have to wait and see. It's been quite a lot of different fast drivers across the season already, so yeah, it should be quite good to see.
Yeah, I suppose based on today, obviously you were looking at Spark, but are there any other drivers that caught your attention?
I have to say Mike Quint. I think he's done really well at the start of the season. I'm not sure if his set today really helped him. Obviously, it did in a straight line, but I think he maybe lost a bit too much time sort of through the corners with it. But he did well as always. Then obviously Jan Green did really well today. Was just quick both races, and yeah, I think he deserved that win in race 2. So yeah, that's quite good to see.
Absolutely, and thanks very much for your time, Josh. See you soon.
That's all right, thanks. See you.
Bye. I think we can fit in one last interview, and it is none other than Alex Lahou. So, Alex, it's another case of what might have been. Can you tell us about your grid penalty?
Hi guys. Yeah, I got the grid penalty because I reset on track in Melbourne, trying to get pole, which I didn't, unfortunate. Actually, I shouldn't have, because my last lap in qualifying today was good enough for pole. I was 3 tenths up, but I hit a front wing that was invisible in the castle section. That just unbalanced my car and I just spun out.
Right, yeah, I
And
saw
I
you
don't know who
post
the
in the
culprit is.
comments.
I
Yeah,
know
I
who the culprit
suppose
is.
from the back of the pack, you made your way up reasonably well in the first race. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, first it was incredible. But then comes the pit, and you know what happens next? I just overshot the pit exit for some reason. I put some power on the outside curb that separates the road with the pit exit, and I just spun out. Why? I don't know.
Yeah, hopefully there'll be some solving of the mystery. But race 2 is where you shone, and it's a great double result for your team. So, any thoughts on that race?
Yeah, it was kind of a mess. Huge pileup in at the end of sector 1. I don't know who caused it. I just know that me and Loic gained a lot of positions, which was really, really nice. And congratulations to the race 1 and 2 winners.
Yeah, absolutely.
Most likely
You're
Jan, our first win. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say your practice pace was exceptional. It's just a shame we couldn't see the full potential until the very end. But do you think you're in favor of the statement that Jeddah will be very similar and you could possibly bring similar skills to that track?
Well, Jeddah is a new track,
Yeah.
so I'll make sure to practice a lot, unlike, you know, the tracks that we already know, quote unquote. Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun trying to practice. I just hope that the curves don't send you up in the air.
Yeah, that's a
And
big
yeah, that's
red
it.
flag if that happens. So fingers crossed, everything is in order for the next race. And I wish you the best of luck in it, Alex, and a good job today. Thanks for your time.
Thank you guys. Happy birthday, Tom.
That's nice. So yeah, a little greeting there for Tom at the end, and of course a big thank you to him for helping out with commentary during qualifying and his overall work with the cameras today. Otherwise, that is everything we have for you this evening. Baku will be well remembered, I'm sure, as the season draws further and further into the summer. But from Yousuf, bin-Suhayl, and myself, Eoin Harmon, thank you very much for tuning in, and goodbye for now.